Eyes and ears of police. Every 000 call from today live streamed in New South Wales. The biggest shake-up to emergency calls in decades.
States on alert. Wild storms, damaging winds and large hail to lash parts of Victoria, the areas in the firing line.
Build it and they will come. Plans to get mega acts to Brisbane, the inner city stadium backed by one big promoter.
Elon Musk to the rescue. A stunning turn of events to bring home 2 astronauts stuck in space.
Plus, accommodation scams are hackers behind your next holiday. The latest warning to travellers.
Cut and counselling. The Queensland barbershop encouraging men to open up, transforming mental health in a country town.
And Justin and Hailey Bieber welcome a baby boy to the world. The name revealed on Weekend Sunrise this Sunday, the 25th of August, 2024.
Right across Australia, this is Weekend Sunrise. Now live from Brekkie Central, Monique and Matt.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Weekend Sunrise. Also ahead, it is raining cats and dogs in Sydney today. 2 rival festivals side by side.
And the right to disconnect. New rules begin tomorrow. It gives you the power to ignore your boss outside of work hours, so will it apply to you? That is coming up. But first up, new live streaming video technology enabling callers to speak face-to-face with 000 emergency operators is set to be rolled out across New South Wales from today. We cross live to Lucy McLeod, who's in Sydney. Lucy, morning to you. We understand this technology is being touted as saving lives.
Good morning, Mon. Well, it already has saved multiple lives during its 12-month trial. It means that every single person who calls 000 will have access to a live streaming feature. Not only that, you'll be able to send your exact GPS location to police as well. And where calls aren't possible or too dangerous, you can also chat with police as well, live, sending digital media there too. And that's available in 150 different languages. Now, this technology has already been hugely successful. Police used it to investigate the Bondi stabbing and most recently to locate 2 girls who were threatened by strangers and escorted to an unknown abandoned location in Maryland. They were able to send their GPS location and police were there in minutes. Now, the way that it works is if you call 000, whether you connect to an operator or not, you'll be sent a link and you tap that link to access all of these features. And with 1,500 calls to New South Wales Police every single day, Mon, it'll make a huge difference to the safety of callers and, of course, first responders.
Yep, hopefully it can be rolled out to other states too. All right, thanks very much, Lucy McLeod there. Matt.
Well, there's wild weather warnings across the country's southeast coast with thunderstorms and hail forecast across 3 states. We cross live now to Hope Wilson, who joins us from Melbourne. And Hope, damaging winds are expected.
Matt, and this is impacting millions of people this morning. It's all being caused by a cold front and trough that is sweeping through the southern part of the country, and that is expected to bring widespread severe thunderstorms. We're expecting to first see it hit in Adelaide, so it is stretching from Victoria, western New South Wales and southeastern Southern Australia. Adelaide will be first in the firing line. They'll feel it late this morning into midday. Then it'll move east, and the worst of this is expected in central and inland parts of Victoria, from Melbourne all the way up to southern Riverina. There we will see severe thunderstorms. From that, we could see destructive winds around 90 kilometres an hour. They have the ability to bring down trees and power poles, so that could make some incredibly dangerous conditions on our roads and also mean some blackouts across quite a few communities as well. As part of that too, we could see some large hail. Now, that is expected to hit here in Melbourne late this afternoon into this evening, and then it'll continue to move east. So it will be a pretty wild afternoon here in Melbourne. Relatively calm now this morning, so you could say this is the calm before the storm, before some volatile conditions hit. Matt?
Hope Wilson for us in Melbourne, thank you.
It's time for some more news now. Here's Sally.
In breaking news out of Melbourne, 1 person has died after a fatal crash in the city's west overnight. Reports came to emergency services at 11:30 of a car crashing into a fence on Alfred Road. The sole occupant was found dead at the scene by police. The person's yet to be formally identified. The Country Liberal Party has claimed a historic win in the Northern Territory election. New leader Leah Fincarro is the first of the coalition equivalent to oust a Labor government since 2018. The 39-year-old will become the Chief Minister-elect of the NT and replace Labor Chief Minister Eva Lawler. Ms Fincarro led her campaign on the issues of improving crime rates and a lagging economy. Australian Border Force officers say now 85% of those in immigration detention have criminal records, dozens of which had visas cancelled for sex crimes and domestic violence. Authorities believe criminals with connections to bikie and mafia gangs are running operations from behind bars because they can access computers and phones. Currently, Border Force has a limited capacity to search for illicit substances and is working with the government to expand its powers. Hundreds of residents in Sydney, in the Hunter Valley, north of Sydney have felt a powerful earthquake aftershock barely a day after a 4.5 magnitude quake hit the region. The relatively shallow quake was 10 k's below the Earth's surface and felt from the Central Coast to as far south as Sydney's Manly. Friday's earthquake caused blackouts, leaving 2,500 people without water. Muswellbrook Shire Council says power and water supplies are returning to normal. A West Australian man who spent 4 days missing in remote Kimberley outback is back home safe this morning. Nigel Buck was found alive yesterday morning after walking 30 kilometres across rugged country in sweltering temperatures. A huge relief for local police teams. The Youngora man was injured when they discovered him, suffering from dehydration and hunger. He's now looking forward to reuniting with his family. A historic pub in Queensland has been reduced to ashes by a fire near Rockhampton. One fire crew battled the inferno for 50 minutes before backup could arrive in the isolated town of Brabla.
The stressing scenes here this morning, Brabla. The pub's a whole thing for the community. It's just the whole social fabric of a little country town.
All 13 people staying in the hotel were evacuated safely, but the building itself could not be saved. The pub's owner and local community have been left devastated by the loss. Homicide detectives in Sydney's West are pouring through security footage after a 40-year-old man's bloodied body was found on a park bench in Auburn Park. The grim scene, stumbled upon by a passerby, was found beside a busy train station and a children's playground. Police are awaiting results of forensic tests and an autopsy to determine the cause of death. Investigators are still trying to notify the man's family. A 35-year-old woman has been charged with murder after the body of a 63-year-old man was discovered dumped in a surfboard bag on the mid-north coast in New South Wales. The homicide squad is yet to reveal how Mark Myers died. Mr Myers had opened his home to help the accused woman, Lisa Cummings, only a month ago. And Melbourne police are hunting a killer after a 28-year-old man was stabbed to death in a family park in Derrimut. Those who found Kyom Atham tried to resuscitate him, but he died at the scene. Police are examining knives found in the park, with witnesses saying a number of people were spotted running from the scene. NASA's announced this morning 2 American astronauts will have to wait another 6 months to come home after being left stranded on the International Space Station. Let's cross live to US correspondent Miley Hogan this morning. Oh, Miley, their mission was meant to last only 8 days. This makes me feel very unsettled, the idea of being stuck in space.
Well, Sally, those 8 days have now been extended to around 8 months. The Boeing Starliner test flight set off in June. Those 2 very experienced NASA astronauts on board, Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, they were the very first crew to pilot this capsule up into space. They safely made it to the International Space Station, but there were problems with the capsule, problems with the propulsion system and the thrusters. Now, after some tense conversations between Boeing and NASA, Boeing was arguing that its engineers had now fixed the problem. They understood what was wrong and they were ready to bring their astronauts home. But NASA has stepped in here and said, no, it's just too risky. The astronauts will not be getting back on that capsule.
Space flight is risky, even at its safest and even at its most routine. And a test flight by nature is neither safe nor routine. And so the decision to keep Butch and Sonny aboard the International Space Station and bring the Boeing Starliner home uncrewed is a result of a commitment to safety. Our core value is safety, and it is our North Star.
So in a major blow to Boeing, Elon Musk's SpaceX has now been tapped to bring those astronauts home. It's their major rival. A SpaceX capsule will be leaving Earth next month. It's only going to be taking 2 crew instead of 4, leaving space to bring back Williams and Wilmore as well. They're not due to get back, though, until February 2025. Boeing and NASA are going to work together to bring back that other capsule. It'll be a big test to Boeing to see if they can get it back down to Earth safely.
Gosh, it's an extraordinary turn of events, isn't it? All right, thanks for that. Marley Hogan there in our US Bureau. Well, country music lovers in Queensland have mustered up their best dance moves for the annual Gympie Music Muster. Die-hard fans have camped out for weeks to see names like James Johnson, Becky Cole and Shannon Knoll.
I feel like I'm in Disneyland right now because as a country music artist, this is all I wanted to do in life and I finally found where I belong.
Hear that. A record crowd of around 50,000 is expected this year, with funds helping to raise support for rural aid, which is a much, needed cause to help our farmers out there in those rural areas. So it's a fantastic.
And I love that grab from that guy who's just saying that he's
Disneyland.
found where he is meant to belong. Like, isn't that all anyone wants, to just get that feeling?
And found it in Gympie.
Yeah, so good. Thank you, Sal.
Thanks, Sal.
Ahead for you on Weekend Sunrise, Swans soar. Sydney's sealed their first minor premiership in 8 years, absolutely dominating the Crows.
And here is Errol on cue. Phenomenal. He's as good as it gets.
And Storm on top, Melbourne are the NRL minor premiers, crushing the Dolphins by 42 points.
And JT has your weather forecast. He is live from the entrance, talking to pelicans there, it seems, in New South Wales.
Welcome back. Happy Sunday to you. Great to have your company. It's sport time now. Here's Matt.
Mon, it is indeed. The Swannies have sealed their first minor premiership in 8 years with a pretty clinical and convincing 31-point win over the Crows.
And here is Errol on cue. Phenomenal. He's as good as it gets.
That sums him up. The Lions guaranteed themselves 5th place after they took down Essendon 87-67, and an emotional Dusty Martin farewelled fans at the MCG as the Tigers fell to the Suns by 28. Geelong, they have sealed a spot in the top 4 with a 93-point thrashing of West Coast. And how about this? The Hawks will play finals for the first time in 6 years after they demolished North Melbourne. It was ugly by 124 points. Well, the Storm are minor premiers of the NRL for the 5th time in 8 years. They know how to do it. And didn't he love it too? The Panthers 6 points behind in second after falling to the Raiders 22-18, and the Knights. Well, Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham back up and running nicely now in the Premier League 4-1. Arsenal now perfect 2 wins from 2 after beating Aston Villa 2-0, and Brighton struck in the 95th minute for a bit of drama to take down Man United 2-1. Let's check your weather now with JT, who joins us from the coastal New South Wales town of the Entrance.
And how beautiful is this to start your Sunday? The Entrance, it's such a family holiday favourite. I love how many Norfolk pines there are up and down this part of the Central Coast. If you haven't been to the Central Coast for a while, and particularly the Entrance and just up the road is Long Jetty, it's changed a bit. Locals hate when you give away the secrets and encourage people to come and visit their little piece of paradise. But I'm sorry, locals, that's what we're doing today. We're going to show you how Long Jetty has changed over the last few years. There's some really exciting businesses and some great things opening up. So we get you your sneak peek this morning, and of course we'll do your weather. So the capitals look like this. Brisbane in for a sunny day today and a top of 29. Sydney, some showers about, tops of 25. Showers increasing in Canberra, 21. Melbourne, showers and a possible storm, 23. Hobart, showers increasing and 18. Showers and a windy day forecast for Adelaide, 20. Perth, cloudy and 21. Sunny for Broome, 36. Darwin, sunny and 35. And mostly sunny at Alice Springs with a top of 35. One of the great things about the Entrance is the amount of pelicans. Look how many pelicans have come out for breakfast this morning. Actually, this is a great group of people. They're marine rescue people. They look after pelicans. So we're going to talk to them in half an hour and maybe even hand feed a pelican.
You have done that in that spot there before, JT.
Not the only
the
pelican
assembly
that
of
turned up
pelicans,
at
isn't
the
it?
entrance
Yes.
this
I
morning.
wonder what is a collective noun for a pelican.
Wouldn't it be great if we had that ready to go right now, considering we're live? We can just wonder and ponder and maybe get back to
Perhaps
people.
someone can let us know. Someone will know. A flock of pelicans? Who knows? All right, thank you,
I'll work on
JT.
it.
Yeah, thank you, JT. Ahead for you on Weekend Sunrise. New South Wales hit by a second earthquake in 24 hours. Residents from the Upper Hunter down to Sydney all feeling the tremor.
Plus, breaking free from burnout, the common aches and pains in your body that are sounding the alarm.
And baby Bieber, Justin and Hailey announced the birth of their first child, the latest in the world of entertainment. That's coming up.
I'm going down, 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 down.
Good morning, welcome back. Well, another earthquake has rattled New South Wales. This for the second time in less than 24 hours. Now, the quake was felt in Sydney, also the Central Coast and even as far as Canberra.
Let's bring in Chief Scientist from the Seismology Research Centre, Adam Pasquale. Adam, welcome to you. OK, so barely a day after a 4.5 magnitude quake hit the region, is this significant? Just put it into context for us.
Yeah, we don't usually have such large aftershocks to our main shocks. This one was only 0.3 magnitude units smaller than the one on Friday, which means it's about half the amount of ground shaking. But it is certainly a large aftershock in this type of sequence.
So is this it for aftershocks? Do you predict, Adam, how do they work? How many more on the horizon?
So usually we forecast aftershocks after a main event, and they do decrease in frequency over time. But these ones could continue for days or weeks. Typically from magnitude 5-ish earthquake, you'll see those going on for even months.
So 2 weeks ago, we're remembering that Victoria was hit by a 4.1 magnitude earthquake that was east of Melbourne. Are earthquakes becoming a more regular occurrence in Australia, or is this just average?
Well, that was an aftershock of the one that you see on screen now, which was the 4.7 back in 2021. They've been continuing since then. So we've had like 1,600 earthquakes or aftershocks from that one magnitude 6-ish event. So they do continue on, and we are seeing more events being felt by the public because these things are getting closer to where, or are happening closer to where people are residing. So that's why we're feeling them more.
Adam, obviously damage was minimal, but there were some power outages as well. How best can, if at all, can people prepare for these sorts of things?
So really, what you need to prepare for is the chance of a larger aftershock. So these events that were happening now could potentially cause damage, but there could be larger events in the future. And knowing what to do, such as drop cover and hold on, which is what we tell people to do, is get under a table while there's strong shaking happening, because mostly people will be injured when things fall on them. So protect yourself, and that's what you need to know. If you feel strong shaking, drop cover and hold on.
OK, when you say that the quakes are sort of moving and they're now being held not so much in remote areas, that we're being felt in more populated areas. Why is that? Do we have any idea about why they seem to be moving in geography?
Well, different areas happen or trigger earthquakes at different times. So that stress builds up over tens of thousands of years, and those faults are holding on to that stress. And there's a point at which something's changed and they let go, and that's when the earthquake happens. So they're happening in active areas where these faults already exist, but when they will actually trigger and go off, it's unknown. It's impossible to predict earthquakes.
A lot of them we'd probably not even be aware of. How many earthquakes would we have in Australia in a year?
Yeah, we put out a map for Southeast Australia, which is the area that the Seismology Research Centre monitors, and we're publishing 30 to 40 earthquakes every week. Most of these are really small and too small for people to feel, but usually once a month or so there'll be something large enough for somebody to feel. So, if you're interested, you can follow us on the socials.
Very busy at the Seismology Research Centre,
Monique. You didn't know how busy they would be.
I was unaware. Very busy.
Very busy. Adam, thank you very much. Really interesting to chat.
Amazing Adam had time to even talk to us, considering.
To pull himself away.
Yeah.
You're right.
Thanks, Adam.
No worries.
Still to come, the biggest shake-up to emergency calls in decades. Every 000 call live streamed in New South Wales from today.
Plus, menopause myths, new products promising to cure the symptoms. Are they real or fake?
And the Swannies saw Sydney claim the minor premiership after defeating the Crows by 31 points. Stay with us. Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome back to Weekend Sunrise. It's time for the news now. Here's Sally.
Good morning. From today, every 000 call in New South Wales will have a live stream option as part of a statewide rollout of the life-saving technology. The Blue Link technology is being trialled across 20 police commands, capturing more than 100 wanted crims and live streaming 700 events to emergency operators. It proved vital in the emergency response to the Bondi Junction massacre in April. The tool will also allow the public to provide police with GPS coordinates and digital media uploads. 3 states across the country are bracing for damaging winds and severe thunderstorms this morning, with the Weather Bureau issuing a severe weather warning for much of eastern Victoria. Damaging wind gusts of up to 90 kilometres an hour are likely across the alpine areas tonight and tomorrow. Dargo, Mount Borbor and Falls Creek are all expected to feel the full force of those conditions. Storms are also possible in southeastern parts of South Australia, and that will stretch all the way through to western parts of New South Wales. The touring group that brought Australia Taylor Swift and Paul McCartney have thrown their hat in the ring in the ongoing debate over the Brisbane 2032 Olympic Stadium. Let's go live to Rosanna Kingston in Brisbane. Rosanna, they're calling for a stadium closer to the CBD.
Sally, Frontier Touring have backed the calls for a new stadium here in Brisbane. They believe it could leave a legacy that goes well beyond the 2032 Olympic Games. A new venue at Victoria Park was the recommendation of a review about 5 months ago. And last week we saw the private sector suggest a new stadium at North Shore. But the government is determined to stick to a $1.6 billion plan to renovate the Queensland Sport and Athletics Centre. But of course, in the next decade, Queensland will need a new oval stadium anyway, for the AFL and for cricket, and the touring group says that this would just give another option for the big performers coming to the city, and they say that it's something that the city needs. Sally?
All right, thank you very much, Rosanna Kingston there. Controversial ex-leader of the CFMEU, John Setka, has sensationally revealed a damning admission in his first interview with Channel 7 Spotlight since leaving the embattled CFMEU.
There are people that want you dead.
Probably.
So there are bikies in the CFMEU?
Well, I'd assume there is.
You can watch the whole explosive interview airing tonight on Channel 7 or 7+. Multiple Secret Service agents have been placed on leave over the shooting that nearly killed Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. Among them is the head of the Pittsburgh field office who coordinated security with local police and a member of Trump's personal detail. The House of Representatives has formed a task force to investigate the operational failures that allowed Thomas Crooks to fire at the former president and the crowd at the rally. Police investigating a stabbing attack that killed 3 people in Germany have raided a refugee centre overnight. Live to Joel Dry in London. Joel, Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack.
Sally, they have. Just in the last couple of hours, the Islamic State have posted online claiming responsibility. They say that the perpetrator was a soldier of IS and the attack was in retaliation for the deaths of Muslims in Palestine and everywhere. As you said, in the last couple of hours also, we've seen specialist police raid an asylum seeker centre not far from where that attack happened. We've seen 2 people arrested. Police have not confirmed whether either of them is the person they have been seeking in relation to that attack that resulted in the deaths of 3 people, two men and 1 woman aged in their 50s and 60s, and left 8 people seriously injured, 4 of them fighting for their life. Police have confirmed that terrorism is certainly being looked at as a major motivation, but they say the investigation is still very much underway and more people are likely to be spoken to, and perhaps there might be more arrests. We've also seen a number of other towns and cities cancel their events in response to this, fearing that this may not be the last attack we see in Germany. Sally?
That's not news we want to hear. All right, thanks for that. Joel Dry there. Back home, Adelaide's Uber and DD drivers are set to stop work on Monday as they ramp up their fight to secure better pay. Local drivers say they have struggled to make ends meet since the company, Uber that is, cut commissions. Airport travellers are being warned to expect delays and check booking apps, with drivers striking from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday. Well, Adelaide Zoo has revealed their new pair of giant pandas, which will be soon heading down under. Xing Chu and Ilan will replace Wang Wang and Funi and will have one job when they get here to make baby pandas. After 15 years of trying and an unsuccessful breeding program, Wang Wang and Funi will actually be sent back to China in November. But the new 3-year-old cuties who are coming have been apparently chosen specifically because they are the best chance of reproducing. An arrival date is yet to be secured for the new couple who, Mon, are pretty unaware of the weight of expectations that sit on their lovely black and white little panda shoulders.
I'm just wondering,
I mean,
how do you determine that a panda is ripe and ready for reproduction?
It might involve an ultrasound or a trip to the, panda doctor that would do those. That's something I might have needed to research, and I didn't think you'd be probing me with that type of question. I thought we'd more just focus on that they look like, a great match.
Okay, right.
They look that it's a love match.
Maybe that's how they did it. Maybe they just swam.
They sniffed each other and they
maybe Greg Evans went over. From Perfect Match.
Yes, the robot actually, I believe, predicted
Dexter.
they were a perfect panda match.
We've
Matt.
You're welcome.
Sunrise Sports Talk is brought to you by Dry Sabone and Rossi Booths, the original Australian legends for over 100 years.
You reckon that was a cute pair of pandas? Have a look who I've organised for Sports Talk today. Behold, plenty of action in last night's footy clashes. We'll get to the boys first, but first in the AFL, the Suns and Tigers played out their final game of the season. Gold Coast winning 94-66. The Lions, they held on to beat the Bombers 87-67, and the latter leading Swans, they took care of the Crows easily 121-90. In the NRL, the Raiders, they shocked the Panthers 22-18. In the Storm, it was a demolition of the Dolphins 48-6, and the Knights took down the Bunnies 36-16. Joining me now to discuss all things sports, 7 News sports editor Matty Carmichael and league legend Mr. Brett Kamali. Morning to you both. Matty, to you first. So the Swannies, they take out the minor premiership. I think it's the first time in 6 or 8 years. They're looking good.
They are looking good. They had that, the slump that they've sort of come out of now, and they're building back up. Errol Goulden's probably become one of the very top players in the whole competition. He showed it again last night. Still, they could leave out Heaney and McCartan and just rest them last night. Tom Papley's still to come back. McInerney's still to come back. You don't look like you're enjoying this chat very much.
I don't.
Do you even watch the finals?
Papley gives me sort of goosebumps when you just say the name. He's done so many bad things to the D's.
But, so you've got to say the Swans are the favourites at the moment, but even watching today, the Western Bulldogs, the Giants say they're the best team. The Giants play them today. If the Giants beat the Dogs and Freo can beat Port Adelaide, the Dogs don't even make the final. So it's still way up in the air. And there's so many different teams who are confusing us with, are they actually that good, or how are they good enough or not? Hawthorn look amazing at the moment.
Hawthorn, their ability to score is off the charts. Yeah. They won by 124 points. And what about the Cats? They've just snuck very quietly into the top four where they love to be.
Yeah, and the Cats, they were a bit ordinary for a couple of weeks, and then, against the Eagles yesterday was a bit of a soft way to go into the finals. But, they've got the second chance. The Lions don't have the second chance, so they sit fifth, but they also look like a team that can come up and do anything. So it's going to be a fantastic final series.
And it was an emotional farewell for one of the absolute greats of the game in Dusty Martin as well.
One of the most unique people we've had in Australian sport for a very long time, hasn't he? The enigmatic sort of character that Dustin Martin is, but one of the all-time greats of the game. And the way the Richmond fans just fell in love with this guy over his career, and you could see the tears from them last night, those barbershops that popped up after they won the premiership, and then to get the Dustin Martin haircut. We've never seen anything like that. I don't know if we've ever had that in sport.
No, we haven't. But
he'll be missed. There's no doubt about that.
He certainly will be missed.
Yeah. The fend to the chest became the Dusty. Yeah.
Speaking of fresh haircuts, behold Noddy. Have a look how good he looks.
I was going farewell with Dusty last night. I sort of thought, I could sort of do the Dusty. I asked for the Matt Doran, so that's what they come up with. So I didn't get all the other stuff.
No one's allowed to have the Matt Doran, mate.
Kudos to the barber. Yes. Kudos to the barber. Let's get to the sport, Noddy. The new minor premiers, Melbourne, looked, they were unstoppable last night.
Yeah, I think they are unstoppable.
The Panthers, are they just building a bit of drama and they've got it in the bag, or how do you see this playing out?
No, they certainly haven't got it in the bag. Every year they keep losing players through the success that they have. No Nathan Cleary for the next few weeks. They get beat here in Canberra. Obviously, they've just come back to to the levels of everyone else the last few years when they lose 2 or 3 players every year and they've got to keep recreating, lose great players and bring in new club players who they've got to try and make great. So Elliott Whitehead's farewell match in Canberra yesterday, he's played just over 200 games, club captain. There's a bit of emotion for why the Raiders did play good yesterday, but it just shows you that I think Melbourne are the standout at the moment, and outside of that, the rest of the competition is such an open competition. Good luck to whoever makes the 8.
Panthers look a bit tired.
Oh, 3 grand finals, victories and a grand final loss and a lot of rep games and a lot of football, and everyone wants to go and beat the premiers every week, so it's a tough challenge to keep getting better.
Go out on a limb, Noddy. Who wins it this year?
I think Melbourne will play Canterbury in the grand final.
Matty's nodding along.
The Bulldogs look very, very good at the moment. They're a hard team to play against.
There you go. All right, boys, thank you. Love to get your thoughts. Let's check your weather now with JT, who's at the entrance in New South Wales.
Matt, look at these magnificent creatures. The penguins here at Pelicans. The Pelicans here at Pelican Plaza at the entrance. And you'll notice the one there with one leg. What do we call him, Kathy?
Kevin Bacon from Footloose.
That is... But there's a serious story behind.
Yes,
because you guys, not only do you run educational tours here every afternoon on weekends and during school holidays, but rescuing the pelicans is such a big part of what you do.
Absolutely, it does. Pelican Time gives us that opportunity to educate the public on our wonderful Australian pelicans, but also gives us the opportunity to rescue the injured ones that actually show up.
So, Matt and Mon, there is a pelican here that's got a big lure in its foot, and Rob over here is going to attempt a rescue live on TV straight after we look at the forecast. So the capitals look like this. Brisbane in for a sunny day today and a top of 29. Sydney, some showers about, tops of 25. Showers increasing in Canberra, 21. Melbourne, showers and a possible storm, 23. Hobart, showers increasing and 18. Showers and a windy day forecast for Adelaide, 20. Perth, cloudy and 21. Sunny for Broome, 36. Darwin, sunny and 35. And mostly sunny at Alice Springs with a top of 35. Okay, first up, I'm just going to feed one of them. Now, Rob here is a professional pelican rescuer, so do not attempt this at home. We're going to get into some David Attenborough type stuff here. This may look intense, but it's for a good reason. So, Rob, whenever you're ready, which one is the one that we're going for? Just point it out. I mean, it's a bit of chaos here at the moment. So Robbie's going to try and launch himself into the water. He's going to try and get the pelican's head down so it's distracted. And then he's going to launch himself into the water. All right, Rob. He's just trying to... Can I assist here in any way?
No.
Okay.
No,
Stay back.
While we're waiting for Rob
Here we go, Rob.
Do his thing.
We've got the 6 p.m. news coming up in any minute now, so we're just we're going to have to go.
He can build the drama, Rob.
Yeah, he can. A collective noun for pelicans is, Matt?
Well, it's interesting.
Yes.
It's a squadron.
A squadron.
A squadron.
Or a scoop.
Or a scoop, which I prefer.
Yeah, I like scoop.
So what's happened, JT, is you've built the drama, but...
Doesn't look like Rob is going to scoop one up anytime soon.
What do you reckon, Rob? This is our shot. Otherwise, we're going to have to go. Here we go. He's in.
Gee.
Oh, he's got it. Goodness.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, so what he's going to do now...
I can see why the trepidation.
That was unbelievable.
That was...
I'm sorry.
Okay, and he's now going to get that lure.
Wow.
Look at this. Look at this. What incredible work. So these guys, Marine Wildlife Rescue Central Coast, they're all volunteers.
Okay.
They've brought this guy up, and now they're going to take... You can see if you come around this side, look at this hook here on his foot. Look at this hook
Rob's
here.
a
So they're
national
going to get this
hero.
lure out because the poor guy has only had one foot to get around on.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, Rob, can I help you out there, mate?
Spot that?
All right,
JT?
here we go. Now we're going to try and get this out. Well, the poor pelican wasn't able to walk.
Oh, my
It was
goodness.
just had one foot up.
In my kit,
All right.
Just you take the hold.
Wow.
This is really such an amazing service that Marine Wildlife Rescue do here on the Central Coast, because there are so many fishers up here, and so often a little bit of fishing line or fishing wire gets left out,
Isn't it?
and it gets wrapped around the pelican's leg. So he's
Isn't
just
that just
snipping
such
off
a reminder when you go
the
fishing?
barb there.
when you just cut a line when it's caught on something.
This is what could happen.
This is the end result.
Kathy, for everyone at home who loves to go out recreational fishing, what's your piece of advice to look after our wildlife?
So, we know you don't go out there to catch birds, but if you do hook, try not to cut the line, try and reel the bird in, because as you can see, once you got a hold of the bird, you actually stay quite calm and get your gear back. It's a win-win situation. Once the line's cut, we then have to rescue.
All right. Well, look, I think
fortunately this one's going to go to the vet.
We're gonna take this one to the vet because it is stuck in there. But what an incredible service! This is a bunch of volunteers who give up their time to look up after our pelicans.
JT, I just want to replay if we can, Mon, because it was a thing of absolute beauty. Look at the jump from Rob.
Wow! But then he can specifically get that one.
He's become airborne, and just snatched the pelican amongst a whole scoop of pelican.
Wow. I think that JT's speaking to one of the volunteers.
We'll get the pelican to the vet so we can look after him. Thank you for showing us what you do.
You're very welcome.
We'll see you back here at the entrance. We're going to head up to Long Jetty, just up the road. We'll see you in half an hour. Let's look after this guy now.
Before you go, JT, what is the process of getting that to the vet? Do they need to sedate it to get it there, or...?
I got one in my car.
No, they're going to put it in someone's car, and they've got a big aviary. One of the volunteers here has got a big aviary in his backyard, so they'll get the hook out, and then the bird will recover in the aviary, and then when it's fit and healthy again, they'll release it back into the wild.
Let's hope it's okay. Let that be a lesson to us, Mon.
Absolutely.
We were dubious about Rob. He was building the suspense with the dangling fish.
He's a national hero.
Astonishing.
I feel like it's a round of applause.
Yes, it is, actually.
Rob.
Wow. JT,
Good on you guys.
That was quite something. Yeah, thank you. Please.
It's a lot at 7:30, isn't it?
It's a lot at 7:30.
We're looking after the wildlife, and these guys and girls are amazing.
Pass our thanks on to Rob and to all of the team there, just doing the most incredible work. Let us know how that beautiful pelican goes. And if Rob gets to name the pelican.
We will.
I think Rob should name it.
Rob should get whatever he wants, just quietly. That was amazing.
You can have hot chips for breakfast if he wanted.
That's a bare minimum.
Hot chocolate.
Oh, at least.
Ice cream.
Yeah, full eggs Benedict. What? Is that too much?
No,
you draw the line at eggs. You draw the line at eggs Benny.
No, it was the hollandaise sauce that pushed me over the edge.
Righto.
Okay. Thank you, JT. Check in with you soon.
Hash brown.
Stay with us this morning. Too scared to work after dark. Melbourne workers refusing to stay back, fearing for their own safety.
Plus, sauna diplomacy, while the Finnish government prefers to make tough decisions in the nude.
The nude, he says, and a Channing Tatum thriller.
We're going to my island for a few days. Do you guys want to come?
This is crazy. Did we just jet off to a billionaire's island with a bunch of strangers?
Is it worth the watch this Sunday? Well, Jabba has your review ahead on Weekend Sunrise.
You got ghosts in Japan. I wanna be part of.
Welcome back. Great to have your company on the Sunrise News feed this morning. Staff are too scared to work after dark. That's a direct quote on some of our busiest cities. Elizabeth Street in Melbourne CBD has seen an alarming spike in crimes being reported, with assaults and theft up a staggering 50% in 5 years.
To discuss, let's bring in journalists Angela Mollard and Joe Hildebrand. Very good morning to you both.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very well, thank you, Joe. So, Ange, traders obviously very frustrated. They've done a number of things. They've met with Victoria Police, they've met with Council. That was earlier this year. So they're now saying, what more can we do? They can't find staff who want to work after dark.
And I'm hearing this too. And I've had a friend go down to Melbourne last weekend to watch the Collingwood game. 3 or 4 people said to her, do not go to Flinders Street Station or anywhere around there at night. So the fear level is high. But the problem is that the Victorian government, the Attorney General even refused to acknowledge that there was a youth crime problem in Melbourne over the last few years. So they're already on the back foot. You have to lean into understanding when there is a problem and acknowledge there is one to be able to then deal with it. Yes, they're talking about there's been more police on the streets at night, but that a lot of academics say that it can have a positive effect, but it can also have a negative effect because it heightens awareness and fears around crime. So look, the issue is that you need to get to the front foot of it and say there is a problem, acknowledge there is a problem, and then you can start thinking about how you deal with it.
Well, these takeaway outlets can't get anyone to work at night because they're just too frightened. But if we broaden this, Queensland's got a youth crime crisis.
Oh, yeah,
that's very much part of the election.
It's happening everywhere, and in regional Australia it's even worse. There's clearly, there's a police shortage, obviously, but that is, again, that's the sort of bottom of the cliff rather than the top of the cliff. I think ice is a real problem, and hearing this anecdotally, Elizabeth Street has always been the sort of slightly rougher and readier street next to Swanston, and I grew up in Melbourne, and Elizabeth Street was always a little bit more kind of, edgy.
They get millions of visitors there every year.
Yeah, they get heaps, that's right. And again, it's very strange. I mean, the last I saw on social media, the Premier of Victoria was trolling the Premier of Adelaide for saying, well, if you want to go out after dark, you've got to come to Melbourne. There's nothing going for you in Adelaide. And now, of course, we're hearing that people at these actual food outlets are saying, well, we're scared to even work here, let alone for customers to come here. So it's got to be addressed, and it can't be addressed unless it's acknowledged.
Yep.
Absolutely. Moving on, it looks like our Aussie politicians are adopting a thing or two from the US. So Mr. Stephen Miles has become, guys, an unlikely TikTok star in an attempt to sway the youth.
The youth
these days. And
automatically we become uncool when you say the youth.
And we've seen it with Kamala Harris. So Stephen Miles is rizzing up Gen Z. That's a phrase. It's slang for charisma. I had to look it up.
Of course I knew that. I had a good deep dive on Stephen Miles' socials actually this morning, and look, you know how some things are incongruous? Well, Stephen Miles and social media, they're incongruous.
But something's going on there, isn't it? The awkwardness is making it a delight.
Well, the kids, you see, it's cut through. They see, because their definition of charisma is not us, looking all polished and everything. There's this kind of like a bit like that, looking really odd. I do, but you know what? My problem with it is it needs to reflect the person. We know when Trump is on social media that is Trump on social media. Kamala, hers is being done by, as she calls it, or not she calls it, but her group calls it, feral 25-year-olds. I want them to be, they have to be authentic. And there's a guy in Canada, the opposition leader, the Conservative guy, Pierre Posier or something like that. He's got 500,000 YouTube followers, and he is getting massive cut through on housing issue because he's explaining to young people who are, of course, massive voting populace how they can buy houses and what has to happen. So I think using social media is such a smart thing, but it has to align with the person's character. And Stephen Miles,
Yeah, if you're a little bit daggy, I think you've got to lean into that, don't you?
That's
a little bit more than what Stephen Miles is doing.
He's leaning right in.
I'm leaning in. I'm rizzing this seg.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm fully rizzing this seg.
It was the hand movement that got me there, Joe.
Thank you very much.
I'm a big fan of that.
I don't think this is going to get him over the line somehow. I just got a gut feeling.
It's a great one-line summary from Joe.
Good, because that gives us time for the last segment, which is our favourite. Are you across nude networking? The Finnish government has revealed that they prefer to conduct their business in sauna diplomacy, saying that's a thing. It allows for deeper discussion. Joe?
I'm not sure if the word sauna and the word deeper are things that you want in the same sentence. I just don't, for some reason I don't think if I'm trying to get somewhere with someone that me being nude in a sauna is going to bring them.
No, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you there, Joe.
I'll be very uncomfortable.
And so Finland's ambassador to the US says what happens in the sauna stays in the sauna. The ambassador to the US.
Well, apparently they get some happy endings, good results on politics and things on their saunas. I'm a massive sauna. You're looking so horrified. I'm a massive sauna fan. I love them. I just said to Joe, if we were to do this panel in the sauna, I'd be the one that would survive the longest because I'm well practiced.
I have no doubt.
For hours.
Can I just say right now you win?
If I was
happy to give it to you, I'm not even engaging.
We're not even going in the inside. We'll wave from the outside.
I've even thinking about, you can buy a little felt hat for saunas. In my
Sorry?
Yeah, you can wear.
What do you mean a felt hat?
So what it does is it stops the heat getting to your brain because you don't want that to get too hot. You want it all to be about your body. So in my local sauna at my local pool, it's only about $6 for a sauna. You put your hat on and then keeps your head nice and... You look a bit stupid.
Is that before or after you put your car keys in the bowl?
In the fruit bowl.
Thank you, Joe.
Just bring in the Riz.
The mind boggles. 8 o'clock. Our top stories this morning.
Eyes and ears of police. Every 000 call from today live streamed in New South Wales. The biggest shake-up to emergency calls in decades.
States on alert. Wild storms, damaging winds and large hail to lash parts of Victoria, the areas in the firing line.
Build it and they will come. Plans to get mega acts to Brisbane, the inner city stadium backed by one big promoter.
Elon Musk to the rescue. A stunning turn of events to bring home 2 astronauts stuck in space.
Plus, accommodation scams are hackers behind your next holiday. The latest warning to travellers.
Cut and counselling. The Queensland barbershop encouraging men to open up, transforming mental health in a country town.
And Justin and Hailey Bieber welcome a baby boy to the world. The name revealed on Weekend Sunrise this Sunday, the 25th of August, 2024.
Right across Australia, this is Weekend Sunrise. Now live from Breckie Central, Monique and Matt.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Weekend Sunrise. Also ahead, it is raining cats and dogs in Sydney today. 2 rival festivals side by side.
And the right to disconnect. New rules begin tomorrow, giving you the power to ignore your boss outside of work hours. So will it apply to you? But first up this hour, a new groundbreaking live streaming video platform is giving police instant access to unfolding emergencies. It enables callers to speak face-to-face with 000 emergency workers. We cross live now to Lucy McLeod, who's in Sydney. Now, Lucy, this life-saving technology is being rolled out across New South Wales.
Yeah, Mon, from today, anybody who calls 000 will have access to this live streaming technology. But not only that, they'll be able to send their exact GPS location to police as this incident is unfolding. If it is too unsafe, where the person cannot make a call or speak directly with police, there is also a live chat situation where you can chat, send media to police as an incident is unfolding. And that chat is available in 150 different languages. Now, it has been trialled over the past 12 months and it's been incredibly successful. It's helped people be located when being lost on hikes, or it also helped police with their investigation with the Bondi stabbing. The way it works is if you make that 000 call, whether you connect to somebody or not, you are sent a link, and that's how you can access this technology. And with 1,500 calls to New South Wales Police every single day, it certainly will help the safety of the callers and police, and it is hoped this will be rolled out right across the country. Mon.
All right, Lucy, thank you.
Well, thunderstorms and damaging winds may lash 3 eastern states today with wild winter weather forecast across the southeast coast. We cross live now to Hope Wilson, who joins us from Melbourne. And Hope, a return to dangerous weather.
Matt, we're expecting some pretty volatile conditions to hit later this morning and into this evening. This is all being caused by a cold front and trough that is sweeping through. Now, this is quite a large area it is impacting. It is Victoria, Western New South Wales and southeastern South Australia. And we're expecting widespread thunderstorms. Now, this is first going to hit around Adelaide, and that'll hit around late morning to midday, and then it'll move east. And that is where it is going to intensify. And we're expecting the worst of this in central and inland Victoria. So everywhere from Melbourne through to the southern Riverina. As part of these storms here, we could see destructive winds around 90 k's an hour. That has the potential to bring down trees and power lines. So that can create some really dangerous conditions on our roads. It could also mean some blackouts in some communities. We could also see large hailstones as a part of this storm as well. Now then, that'll continue to move east tonight and into tomorrow. So some really dangerous conditions out there. If there is one silver lining though, it's actually our temperatures here in Melbourne. We're looking around 23 degrees today. That's around 6 to 7 degrees above our August average. So certainly worth making the most of it this morning before these really dangerous conditions set in. We're expecting it here in Melbourne late this afternoon into this evening. Matt?
Yeah, busy day ahead, it seems, for emergency services. Thank you, Hope.
Let's get some more news now. Here's Sally.
In breaking news out of Melbourne, one person has died after a fatal crash in the city's west overnight. Reports came to emergency services just before midnight of a car crashing into a fence on Alfred Road. The sole occupant was found dead at the scene by police. The person's yet to be formally identified. And police in Sydney are investigating after a car crashed into a house and multiple parked cars on the North Shore this morning. The four-wheel drive struck 4 other vehicles, including 2 Audis, and came to a stop after hitting a home. The 68-year-old Sydney driver returned a positive breath test at the scene and was taken to hospital for further testing. No residents were injured in the crash.
Australian Border Force officers say now 85% of those in immigration detention have criminal records, dozens of which have had visas cancelled for sex crimes and domestic violence. Authorities believe criminals with connections to bikie and mafia gangs are running operations behind bars because they can access computers and phones. Currently, Border Force has a limited capacity to search for illicit substances and is working with the government to expand its powers. Hundreds of residents in the New South Wales Hunter Valley have felt a powerful earthquake aftershock barely a day after a 4.5 magnitude quake hit the region. The relatively shallow quake was 10 k's below the Earth's surface and felt from the Central Coast to as far south as Sydney's Manly. Friday's earthquake caused blackouts, leaving 2,500 people without water. Muswellbrook Shire Council says power and water supplies are now returning to normal. A historic pub in Queensland has been reduced to ashes by a fire near Rockhampton. One fire crew battled the inferno for 50 minutes before backup could arrive in the isolated town of Baralabar.
There's stress scenes here this morning in Baralabar. The pub's a whole thing for the community. It's just the whole social fabric of a little country town.
All 13 people staying at the hotel were evacuated safely, but the building could not be saved. The pub's owner and the local community have been left devastated by the loss. Homicide detectives in Sydney's West are pouring through security footage after a 40-year-old man's bloodied body was found on a park bench in Auburn. The crime scene, stumbled upon by a passerby, was found beside a busy train station and a children's playground. Police are awaiting the results of forensic tests and an autopsy to determine the cause of death. Investigators are still trying to notify the man's family. A 35-year-old woman has been charged with murder after the body of a 63-year-old man was discovered dumped in a surfboard bag on the mid-north coast in New South Wales. The homicide squad is yet to reveal how Mark Myers was killed. Mr. Myers had opened his home to help the accused woman, Lisa Cummings, only a month ago. And Melbourne police are hunting a killer after a 28-year-old man was found stabbed to death in a family park in Derrimut. Those who found the man tried to resuscitate him, but he died at the scene. Police are examining knives found in the park, with witnesses saying a number of people were spotted running from the scene. NASA has announced this morning that 2 American astronauts will have to wait another 6 months to come home after being left stranded on the International Space Station. Live US correspondent Miley Hogan. Miley, this certainly isn't the news the astronauts wanted to hear.
Well, they're going to be stuck there for a few more months, but at least they now know how they're going to get back down to Earth. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams were the first astronauts to test Boeing Starliner's capsule. They took it safely all the way up to the International Space Station, but on the way there were problems with the capsule, with its thrusters and its propulsion system. Now, Boeing over the last few weeks has been working on it. They argue that they now know what the problems are, that they've fixed them and that it's safe to bring the astronauts back down to Earth. But NASA has stepped in saying no, that it is too risky and they won't be getting back on the capsule.
Space flight is risky, even at its safest and even at its most routine. And a test flight by nature is neither safe nor routine. And so the decision to keep Butch and Sonny aboard the International Space Station and bring the Boeing Starliner home uncrewed is a result of a commitment to safety. Our core value is safety, and it is our North Star.
Boeing's rival SpaceX has now been tapped to go up there and bring those astronauts home. The Dragon capsule will leave Earth next month. Normally it would be taking 4 people up. It's now only going to take 2 to leave room for Wilmore and Williams. Boeing and NASA will work together to bring back the Starliner without a crew on board. That will be a big test for Boeing to see if that capsule can get back down to Earth safely.
Yeah, it's going to be an extraordinary few months for the pair. It'd be a good reality TV show, I think. All right, thanks for that. Let's go to Matt now. He's got your sport.
I do indeed, Sal. The Swannies have sealed their first minor premiership in 8 years, a convincing 31-point win over the Crows at the SCG.
And here is Errol on cue. Phenomenal. He's as good as it gets.
He certainly is. The Lions have guaranteed themselves 5th place, just short of the double chance after they took down Essendon 87-67. And a really emotional Dusty Martin farewelled his fans at the G as the Tigers fell to the Suns by 28. They couldn't get the job done. Geelong sealed a spot in the top 4. They're the Smokies with a 93-point thrashing of West Coast. And how about this? The Hawks will play finals for the first time in 6 years. They demolished North Melbourne by 124 points. They are a dangerous side at the moment. Well, the Storm, minor premiers of the NRL for the 5th time in 8 years. Wonderful celebration too. The Panthers now 6 points behind in second after falling to the Raiders 22-18. Let's go back to JT now and today's weather. Goodness me, we know not what to expect after what just unfolded. JT, how's the Pelican?
I know, Hayley, we just rescued a pelican half an hour ago. The pelican is doing well. It is on the way to Tuggerah to the vet. We'll give you an update later on this morning. But we've moved up to Burnt Honey. This is Hayley's place. You can tell someone who loves their job. What does it say on your knuckles?
It says eat cake.
Eat cake. I love that from a baker. We'll go inside after we look at the weather. So the capitals look like this. Brisbane in for a sunny day today and a top of 29. Sydney, some showers about, tops of 25. Showers increasing in Canberra, 21. Melbourne, showers and a possible storm, 23. Hobart, showers increasing and 18. Showers and a windy day forecast for Adelaide, 20. Perth, cloudy and 21. Sunny for Broome, 36. Darwin, sunny and 35. And mostly sunny at Alice Springs with a top of 35. So we're in Long Jetty. This is your second store, but you started at Copacabana.
We did about 5 years ago now, down by the beach there. That's where we bake everything.
Okay. Tell us what is in a Copa Queen.
A Copa Queen is basic. It's very similar to a croissant, but there's layers of pastry and butter, but there's also layers of lots of raw sugar.
It sounds like such a guilty pleasure.
It is.
I don't know if you can hear that crunch.
Yeah, we heard it.
That is
Excellent
phenomenal.
crunch.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
That is amazing. I just want to show, we've seen the tattoos. Look at this, you can buy some badges. Nice buns.
Yes.
I like it. We've got bread till I'm dead. Love that. And probably the most fitting is croissant cutie.
That's me.
You are the croissant cutie. Wow, the Copa Queen is phenomenal.
Thank you very much.
She is. I love her.
On a sugar
and
high.
her food. How wonderful.
Looks incredible.
Thanks, JT.
Thanks, Hayley.
Thanks, JT. We'll see you soon. Well, coming up in the next hour, SpaceX to the rescue. Elon Musk accepts the mission to bring the astronauts stuck in space home.
Plus, the age gap when most Australians get divorced. A relationship guru reveals how to avoid a split.
And baby, sing it with me, Matt. Oh, we welcome the newest addition to the Bieber family. More on Justin and Hayley's special news. Stay with us.
Sorry, it's a bit exciting.
Welcome back. Well, in a stunning turn of events, NASA has announced that the 2 astronauts who have been stranded on the International Space Station will return to Earth, but on SpaceX, and not until February 2025.
From what began as an 8-day operation, pilots Sonny Williams and Commander Barry Wilmore have now been in orbit since June 5. That is a lot of orbit, Mon.
Indeed it is. Astrophysicist Dr. Brad Tucker joins us now for more. Now, Brad, up until now, Sonny and Barry didn't even know how they were getting back. So now at least there is a plan. But talk us through this plan and what it means that SpaceX has been called to the rescue.
Yeah, the 8-day that's turned into an 8-month work visit is definitely a saga. So what essentially the plan is there's already a crew scheduled to go up next month on SpaceX. So this is part of a regular rotation. Now, they normally take 4 people into space and 4 people's worth of supplies. But what NASA has decided to do is instead of sending 4, they'll send 2 up, have 2 seats empty, then the capsule's in space. Then the Boeing crew joins those 2 that went up. They do all the work for 6 months, and then all 4 come back down mid-February because the capsule serves as your way up, as your lifeboat in space. So essentially something goes wrong and your way back down. So they can't send 4 new people up because then they're still 2 seats short. So this means that in order to have that seat, they have to stay there for 6 months.
Gee, you feel for them. I mean, so Boeing haven't been great, let's be honest. And SpaceX, talk us through their success record, because would they be thrilled about this offer?
So, yes. So, SpaceX and Boeing started out as competitors as part of the Commercial Crew program. So they were contracted in 2010 by NASA. In 2010, Boeing was the well-oiled space machine, done lots of missions, hadn't done space flight, but their legacy in space goes back to the Apollo era. Then you had SpaceX, the new kid on the block, up and coming. And for years, they were neck and neck in terms of a race. SpaceX has now sent 8 crews of astronauts to the space station, plus 2 tourist missions, many more planned. Boeing has had delays after delays. I mean, this mission was supposed to happen in 2017, so they're already 7 years behind schedule. So SpaceX is quietly thrilled that they are the reliable choice of NASA, and really then sets up some interesting decisions going forward about what happens with Boeing and this contract. Do they keep supporting it? Do they just go with SpaceX? Do they go with another company?
Okay, so for the SpaceX crew that are going up, they're only taking 2 rather than 4. So 2 passengers that have been no doubt preparing for years are unable to go. What does this cost? And I'm just wondering whether does this mean that NASA needs to pay SpaceX?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. So there's 4 crews selected. There's always an American and a Russian on board to operate either side. And then there's 2 extra Americans on this next crew. So the Russian has to go up, which means of the 3 Americans, 2 are going to have to stay back. And there's a debate about what do you balance? The flight expertise, the science expertise. So NASA has to make that decision. Then those 2 have to stay down, be reallocated to another mission. Now, in terms of paying SpaceX, they've already paid for the seats. So essentially the way it's worked is NASA contracted through grants, essentially SpaceX and Boeing to develop the capsule. And then they really pay on a per seat basis, no different than really getting on an airplane. So those seats are already paid for. SpaceX doesn't ultimately care who gets in those seats, because that's a NASA choice what the passengers get. But yes, 2 astronauts who have been preparing and training will have to sit back down. And then all of those duties and knowledge has to be passed to the Boeing crew, who have to be trained on doing those experiments for the next 6 months. And they have 4 weeks to prepare.
Jeez.
Long days up there. Really long days.
They get overtime and hazard pay, so there is a benefit.
I'm wondering what a lot of small talk as well.
It represents a lot of work.
They'd be sick of each other by now.
Oh, they'd be so sick of each other. They're sick to death of
Imagine
each
being
other.
in a confined space. Like, we've got a bit of room here.
I know. Brad, thank you for your expertise.
No worries. Yes, just imagine being stuck up there together for 8 months. Yeah. We'll let you do that experiment and come back and report.
Curious experiment. Yes.
I don't think we would run out of things to talk about, though.
No. Would you run out of patience?
No, we'd be squabbling.
Lots of squabbling.
But I think that we would be chatting a lot anyway.
Lots of snacks too. Thanks, Brad. Well, from tomorrow, right to disconnect laws begin in Australia, giving millions of workers the right to ignore their bosses outside of work hours.
Now, the changes have been met with lots of controversy, some arguing that the new hours will make it worse off for employees. To discuss, we're joined now by the Head of Industrial Law at Gordon Legal, Marcus Clayton. Marcus, welcome to you. So what are the changes coming into effect tomorrow? Exactly what do they mean?
Good morning. What they mean is that an employee, if it's unreasonable for the employer to contact them outside of paid hours, the employee can refuse to monitor the email or answer the phone, but only if it's not unreasonable to do so.
But so, Marcus, essentially then, this is all going to come down to the definition of what defines reasonable, what is unreasonable. Is there any murkiness there? I'm sure it's not all that clear.
Well, these things are never 100% clear, but in the legislation there's a guide about it. For example, if the joint burns down and you can't go to work the next day, then it's reasonable for the boss to contact you. But if it's about some regular meeting next Thursday that they could just as well talk to you about it on Monday, it's not unreasonable for you to refuse that. If you're a senior lawyer and there's something comes up, it wouldn't be reasonable to refuse that contact. But if you're the junior receptionist and the boss wants to contact you on a Sunday, you know why. So there is some definition in the legislation which will make it good. I mean, these things, it's all happened because with technology, mobile phones, emails, and also working from home and the pandemic, things have changed, and this redresses the balance, bringing you back. I mean, it used to be the case that if you weren't being paid, you weren't working.
Yeah.
And there was callback allowances, standby, that sort of thing.
Okay, so from a legal perspective, do you see this working? What I'm thinking about, that in theory you're an employer, you can now refuse to respond outside of work hours, but if your employer is ignoring the rules, they then don't tell you that that's the reason that you're getting sacked, but you know that they're building up a case, if you like, against you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. If there's a dispute, you can go. If you're a worker or a union representing a worker, you can go to the Fair Work Commission. You can get orders, and it's against the law for the employer to sack you if your refusal is not unreasonable. There's a lot of knots in that sentence, but so there are remedies. It's always the case that workers don't like to say no to the boss. Their security of employment, their income they might feel on the line. So, but there are pathways to enforce the right.
Yeah, thank you very much for explaining it to us, Marcus. Be a very bold employee, Mon, to respond back and goes, "I'd love to chat. That's just a bit unreasonable at this juncture."
Yeah, particularly in the corporate world. Really interesting. Thanks, Marcus.
No worries.
Well, moving on now, and a barbershop in central Queensland is providing much more than just a haircut for hundreds of Aussie blokes.
Now, Groom Barbershop in Rockhampton has become a really safe space for men in particular to open up about their mental health. It offers a cut and a conversation to help break down barriers in the country town.
Absolutely love this story, and its owner, Miguel, joins us now from his barbershop in Rockhampton. G'day, Miguel. It's such a great idea. It's a simple idea, but still a really profound one. How do you start these conversations in the barbershop? If someone's struggling, how are you or are you okay, sometimes doesn't cut it, but you've got a bit more time to sort of unfurl that, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. So it's not that we're looking for the conversations, but some of these clients who have come in for years, like I've had clients for nearly 13 years now, and I think they just feel comfortable sitting in this chair, and not only are we able to make them look good, but we make them feel good. But I feel like they just feel comfortable sitting in this space, just talking to us.
Rockhampton, known for its beef and barra, and often, tough country people, if you like. What kind of a response have you been getting from clients who are coming in?
At the end of the day, we're all people. So I think people just come in, and I think just being in this sort of safe area, they just feel comfortable, relaxing. It can be from anything from, what's happening in their life. We get people that come in that are going to their funeral. We get people that come in going to their birthdays. We get all walks of life. But I think any person just can feel comfortable just being in this space.
That's really fascinating. What sort do you find that they are opening up and prepared to talk to you about things that they're struggling with?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just something about being in a bubble. Like, I feel like barbershops are one of the last spaces where you can actually be sober and talk, complete nonsense with a stranger. But it's just that comfortability of sitting down, having that little relaxing moment. You can literally see them, relax in the chair, and then when they leave, they prop themselves up. And I think it's just that they feel comfortable talking to us, just as random people.
Yeah. Miguel, of course, this has been happening for years, hasn't it? We often say that our hairdressers are therapists as well. There's something about the physical touch as well. Sometimes it's the only time that a person is actually being touched by someone, and so opening up. What I love about what you're doing is you're being really upfront about it and proud of it, and you're even teaming up with a mental health organisation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I feel like the least that I can do is to give back. The community around Rockhampton, Yeppoon, all these areas have given me so much. I've been blessed with 2 daughters and a family, and the least I can do is just try and give out my services to people.
Well, Miguel, you're certainly doing that. You're even offering free haircuts in the park. Really fantastic initiative and certainly needed. Thank you very much for being with us this morning.
That's all right. One last thing. I've always wanted to do this. Thank you so much. Hopefully I don't suck it. But thank you for having me.
You nailed it. I didn't know what you were going to do. That's awesome, Miguel.
What a sign-off for an interview.
Yeah, That's we should insist that everyone makes their mark in that way.
Yeah, pity all the guests that come after you now, Miguel, who just go, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
We're going to insist upon a backflip. Miguel, there's nothing you can't do. Gosh, it's great to talk to you. You put a smile on our face, and I'm sure you're doing that to so many people that come into your barbershop. Thank you.
Definitely appreciate you guys reaching out, and I hope anyone can come in here and get a haircut and feel good and maybe watch me do a backflip. I learned it from Ray Guns, so thank you.
Why wouldn't you go in there?
Yeah.
If you could do that, would you just do that at every opportunity, ordering a coffee, random backflip?
I would be backflipping here now.
Oh, incredible.
In a skirt.
No. Why do you have to throw in a skirt?
Because I was just thinking if I could do it, I wouldn't be able to do it now anyway because I'm wearing a skirt.
Yeah, just
okay.
because it would
I was just going. That is the only thing that's holding me back.
We're backflipping on that comment.
We are.
Lots of backflips here at Weekend Sunrise. Often, regularly.
Yes.
Metaphorically, at least.
Here's Sally.
In breaking news this morning, a fatal crash on the Gold Coast hinterland has left one man dead and 4 others injured. It's believed a Mitsubishi was travelling around Bernogan Road at 12:45 when it came off the road and rolled onto its roof. 5 men, all aged in their 20s, were in the vehicle at the time. The 21-year-old driver from Mudgeeraba died at the scene. All 4 passengers were taken to Gold Coast Uni Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. From today, every 000 call in New South Wales will have a live stream option as part of a statewide rollout of life-saving technology. The BlueLink technology has been trialled across 20 police commands, capturing more than 100 wanted crims and live streaming 700 events to emergency operators. It's proved vital in the emergency response to the Bondi Junction massacre in April. The tool will also allow the public to provide police with GPS coordinates and digital media uploads. 3 states across the country are bracing for damaging winds and severe thunderstorms this morning, with the Weather Bureau issuing a severe weather warning for much of eastern Victoria. Damaging wind gusts up to 90 kilometres per hour are likely around alpine regions from tonight and tomorrow. Dargo, Mount Borbor and Falls Creek are all expected to feel the worst of the conditions. Storms are possible from southeastern parts of South Australia all the way to western New South Wales. The ongoing debate over Brisbane's 2032 Olympic Stadium continues to rage, with a big-name Aussie music promoter backing calls for a stadium closer to the CBD. Let's go live to Rosanna Kingston in Brisbane. Rosanna, they want a legacy that endures past the Olympics.
Something that goes well beyond 2032, Sally, because the city will need a new oval stadium in the next decade anyway for AFL and for cricket. And while Suncorp is able to host some of those larger concerts, Frontier Touring says another option would perhaps entice more big performers to the city. There has been a suggestion for a new stadium at Victoria Park. That was part of the Sport Review released about 5 months ago. And last week, the private sector suggested building a new stadium at North Shore. The government, though, is committed to a $1.6 billion renovation at the Queensland Sport and Athletics Centre. That is the cheaper option in a cost of living crisis. But people like Frontier Touring are saying that perhaps that won't leave the legacy that will benefit Brisbane well beyond the Games.
All right, thank you very much, Rosanna. Controversial ex-leader of the CFMEU, John Setka, has sensationally revealed a damning admission in his first interview with Channel 7 Spotlight since leaving the embattled union.
There are people that want you dead.
Probably.
So there are bikies in the CFMEU.
Well, I'd assume there is.
You can watch the whole explosive interview airing tonight on Channel 7 or on 7+. A Perth tradie who was left fighting for life after a scooter crash in Bali has died in hospital surrounded by family. Shane Ramsey's holiday was meant to be a celebration of his friend's wedding. Instead, he was rushed home after his moped crashed into a pole on Sunday. The 30-year-old carpenter from Clarkson is now being remembered as a man with a big heart and now as an organ donor who will help give the gift of life to others. Multiple Secret Service agents have been placed on leave over the shooting that nearly killed Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. Among them is the head of the Pittsburgh field office who coordinated security with local police and a member of Trump's personal detail. The House of Reps has formed a task force to investigate the operational failures that allowed Thomas Crooks to fire at former President Donald Trump and the crowd at the rally. Police investigating a stabbing attack that killed 3 people in Germany have raided a refugee centre overnight. Live to Joel Dry in London. Joel, Islamic State have claimed responsibility.
Specialist German police have made 2 arrests in connection to this shocking stabbing incident that occurred in Solingen in the west of Germany that claimed the lives of 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman aged in their 50s and 60s. Authorities have not yet confirmed whether or not any of the people arrested are the suspected murderer, but they are saying that investigations are ongoing. Another development is that recently the Islamic State group has posted online claiming responsibility for the attack, saying that the perpetrator was a soldier of IS and the attack was done in retaliation for the deaths of Muslims in Palestine and everywhere. It remains to be seen whether or not police are searching for more people in relation to this, but they have raided an asylum seeker centre not far from the scene of that attack. The event, the festival that was held, has now been cancelled. Several other towns and cities in the area have also cancelled events, with fears that this may not be the last stabbing attack seen, and people are just playing it safe.
Thanks, Joel. Adelaide's rideshare drivers are set to stop work on Monday as they ramp up their fight to secure better pay. Local Uber drivers say they've struggled to make ends meet since the company cut commissions. Airport travellers are being warned to expect delays and check their booking apps, with drivers striking from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday. Well, sporty and corgi are 2 words you would rarely put together in the same sentence, but turns out in Lithuania it's a big thing. They are now hosting their 3rd annual corgi racing event. Here it is. The pups with little legs and rotund trunks wear various costumes. Well, no, like they're a thicker body. It's lovely. I love them. They're judged by members of the public. I'm going to stop talking now. The event organisers define... It's not body shaming. They have a small leg. The ratio of trunk to leg is different. That is just maths. That is science. Okay. It's not shame.
I feel like you're backflipping now.
I'm backflipping in a big way. Look, they're actually quite fast runners. Originally, the breed apparently was used to herd cattle. I don't think that's true. Really? Is that a corgi couldn't? What would they herd? Miniature hamsters?
No, they could. Miniature hamsters. They'd be good at that. Although the outfits, excellent outfits,
strong outfits. I will say, I love the spectacles on that one.
Did you know a wombat can run at 40 kilometres an hour?
Yes, because you dial that little factoid out quite regularly.
Yep.
In makeup, she tells me.
Yep.
She tells me
sometimes
I'm
I
getting
just text her
changed
that
in the
randomly.
morning. Yeah. It's at least once a day you tell me that,
thank you.
and I'm all the better for it. Now here's Matt with sport.
The Sydney Swans finally sealed the AFL's minor premiership after downing the Crows at the G. Errol Goulden starred as usual as Sydney cruised home by 31 points.
Errol on cue, phenomenal. He's as good as it gets.
He certainly is. The Lions guaranteed themselves 5th place, just missing out on a double chance after they took down the Dons 87-67, and a really emotional farewell for that great man, Dustin Martin, as he was farewelled at the G in the Tigers' loss to the Suns and Geelong. They sealed a spot in the top 4 with a 93-point thrashing of West Coast. The Hawks, they are the danger this final series. They demolished North by 124 points. The Storm have sealed top spot on the NRL ladder for 2024.
Was unexpected, I suppose, but the Raiders done us a little favour earlier in the day.
They beat the Rabbitohs 36-16. Let's go back to JT and today's weather.
I'm really excited about this cross because there's a great story behind it. This is Michelle. Upstairs Wines. If you want to remember, the slogan is...
Fine wines, good times.
I love it. So I first got to know Upstairs Wines back when you and your husband Dave were doing boxes of wine during COVID. We were getting them delivered to our house.
Yeah.
And that was kind of just out of a small delivery space or distribution venue in Sydney.
Yes.
Now you've got these 2 beautiful places on the Central Coast.
Yeah, we've got a shop here in Long Jetty and one in Edelong.
And it is so special. We'll take you for a tour after the forecast. So the capitals look like this. Brisbane, in for a sunny day today in the top of 29. Sydney, some showers about, tops of 25. Showers increasing in Canberra, 21. Melbourne, showers and a possible storm, 23. Hobart, showers increasing and 18. Showers and a windy day forecast for Adelaide, 20. Perth, cloudy and 21. Sunny for Broome, 36. Darwin, sunny and 35. And mostly sunny at Alice Springs with a top of 35. So tell us about the concept behind Upstairs Wines.
Yeah, so Upstairs Wines is all about minimal intervention, small batch winemaking. We want to kind of provide something that people can't find in the bigger bottle shop.
That's Mike.
And so you come in here, try something different and, find a favourite wine.
You've got so many spirits and wines from not just the Central Coast, but this region in New South Wales. Yeah. What do you think people are loving about low intervention wine at the moment?
It's something a little bit different. They don't give you that terrible hangover the next day, and everything's unique. So you can get like a totally different Riesling or a different Malbec, and from beautiful little producers.
I love it. And it's like being in an art gallery looking at all of the labels of the wines you've got in here.
Yes.
I particularly like this one, Lucky's, which just happens to be...
Yep, Dave, my partner, makes this one. And it's probably one of the best sellers in the shop. So, yeah.
Definitely worth a look if you're in Longjetty or Edlong. See you back here on the Central Coast in half an hour. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, JT. Ahead for you on Weekend Sunrise, menopause crackdown. A Senate inquiry investigates the products promising to cure symptoms.
Plus, holiday hackers are scammers behind your next travel booking. The signs are next.
And we have the perfect Sunday treat. We are live to the Cat and Dog Festival. You don't want to miss that. They're side by side, not in the same place. Back in just a tick. Welcome back. A Senate inquiry is investigating the marketing and advertising of menopause products. It follows growing concerns that women are being bombarded by products that promise to address or even cure menopause and perimenopause symptoms.
Health experts have weighed in, claiming that the marketing is shameful and also dangerous, even negatively impacting their working lives.
And Dr. Fatima Khan is here to tell us more about this. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Doctor. OK, talk us through the main dangers of this kind of advertising.
Good morning and thank you for having me on the show. So essentially the main trouble now is that we're seeing all these claims made by marketing campaigns from supplements that are bombarding women's social media and their kind of other networks that they're engaging with. And the trouble is that they're claiming to cure all their symptoms of menopause, and these are untested, so they're unsafe. We don't know what ingredients they have. If you know the ingredients, we don't know where they're sourced from, we don't know whether they're effective, and whether they have a therapeutic benefit, because it depends on what the dose is.
So how can they make those claims, Doctor, without any evidentiary basis?
Yes, great question. So in Australia, most supplements in Australia, most medicines are regulated by the Therapeutic Goods of Australia, that's the TGA. And most certainly certain supplements are regulated as well, which means they've been tested for their safety for human consumption and also whether they're effective or not. And unfortunately, a lot of these supplements haven't got TGA approval. And essentially, they're not being sold always in chemists and pharmacies, but they're being targeted and preying on women's vulnerability via social media. So the algorithms are getting smarter and smarter. They can target women between 45 to 55. And so women necessarily don't know. They're feeling quite desperate during this vulnerable time. The symptoms of menopause can start in your early 40s all the way to 50. They impact women's ability to function optimally because they impact their mental, emotional, and physical health, and it can last up to a decade. So you can see why women who want to continue working, care for the young children, care for the elderly parents, and continue to function, they will grab this, magic potion that's curing their brain fog, anxiety, helping with their sleep, improving their energy, and also getting rid of night sweats. But those claims are false. They haven't been tested by the TGA. And if you are suffering from your symptoms, you're better off going to a qualified healthcare professional and then integrating more safer measurements like lifestyle changes.
Fatima, it is just such important advice that you are giving us. Thank you so much. To prey on women when they are at their most vulnerable is utterly disgraceful. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, Australians are losing more than $1 million every single day to scams, with the over 50s making up 60% of victims.
Hackers are now gaining access through our smart devices, with accommodation scams on the rise. And CEO of Phronesis Security, Elliot Delis, joins us now for more. Elliot, thanks for your time. So what are the biggest scams right now? And more importantly, I guess, how do we detect them?
Yeah, look, the scammers are really good at baiting the hook, and so they know it. You know, tax time, people are expecting messages from the ATO, and during the winter months, accommodation scams are very common. So this usually involves someone with a new listing, it isn't trusted, there's not many reviews, and you turn up, the accommodation isn't there, and then they just disappear.
OK, so you're saying that there's two parts of this issue, that the devices themselves must be trustworthy and to make sure that they're not cheap and dodgy. What's the second part?
Well, when it comes to smart devices, things like your light bulbs, your smartwatches, whatever it might be, they're often not built with security in mind. So a lot of the functionality that goes through rigorous testing for sort of, really trusted products just isn't there with the cheaper products. So things like Bluetooth functionality sometimes can be vulnerable. So really making sure that you're getting your devices, your kit from a reputable supplier is the best possible thing you can do.
Elliot, talk to us more about how these accommodation scams are actually working and what are the signs that people can look out for?
Well, like anything, if an offer seems too good to be true, it probably is. So some of the things to look out for is, if it's really popular and everything else is expensive and this one bit of accommodation is really cheap, that's a bit of a red flag. Also, not many reviews and also a very, very recent listing. If it's reputable, if, the accommodation is reliable, you should be able to see a good track record of lots of reviews and people who've been happy to stay there. And the other big one to look out for, whether it's a device, whether it's accommodation, is if someone tries to redirect you off the platform in order to make the payment, that's a big red flag that you might be talking to a scammer.
Elliot, these warnings are so important because new data shows only 7% of scam victims are getting their money back from Australian banks. Thanks for being with us this morning.
My pleasure.
More than half of Australian workers are battling burnout, and your body may be sounding the alarm.
So persistent aches and pains could be stress-related, linked to the vagus nerve, which regulates your body's stress responses. Let's now bring in neurophysiology expert Jessica Maguire. Morning to you, Jessica. So could you explain to our viewers what the vagus nerve is and how precisely it is connected to stress?
Yes, so we can think of the vagus nerve like the bridge between the body and the brain. It's actually comparable in size to the spinal cord, and it starts at the base of our brain, running down to our heart and all the way down to our lower belly, touching almost every organ on its way. And most of its communication is actually running from the body up to the brain, but it plays a major role in regulating our emotions and our physiology when we experience stress.
OK, so how do you know the difference between just having a sore neck because you slept on it wrong and your vagus nerve being triggered?
It's a great question. One thing we see when the vagus nerve isn't functioning well, we might say that we have low vagal tone. And this is associated with symptoms like inflammation, which can be what causes the pain, but also things like burnout. We can get stuck in anxiety, or we can get stuck feeling flat and depressed. We might experience other physical symptoms like having issues with our gut or our digestive health, and we may experience insomnia. So really what we'll see is there's often a cluster of symptoms that present and they're ongoing, as opposed to a simple ache which might get better, say, with treatment or in a few days.
Yeah, really interesting. It can also be involved in the storage of trauma in the body as well. Can you talk us through, I guess, people who are watching and wondering, what can I do? There's a simple 30-second practice that someone can do to actually regulate their stress?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're looking at an exercise, particularly with burnout, that can help us, we can use a breathing resource where we take a breath in and bring our arms forwards. We can bring our arms out to the side and take another breath in. And then the third part is a big breath overhead with our arms overhead, and then a breath out. And that in itself can up-regulate our nervous system so that we feel more energised. Following traumatic stress in itself, we might use other specific resources depending on the state we're in. And this is what I teach to my students, to really look at what state of their nervous system they're in, to what resources they use.
So very helpful and such a quick exercise to do to have big results. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, now to the kitchen, and it's the food fusion taking over the internet. Rice paper rolls dipped in egg mix.
This helps with stress too, Mon, I
Yes.
find. It's not the only recipe making use of rice paper. It's all the rage at the moment. TV personality Huda Hanaway joins us. Good morning, Huda. So today we are delighted to say that you are making steamed rice paper dumplings. A thing of beauty they are.
Oh, look, who doesn't love a good...
Show me someone.
Everybody.
Right? Who doesn't love one? But, I mean, it's that craze, like you said, over the internet right now, which they're claiming to make croissants out of these rice paper rolls.
A step too far in your opinion?
Maybe a step too far, but I mean, as a dumpling for a gluten-free option, it is sensational. So it's such a simple thing to do. I've got chicken mince here. And like, again, I always have this disclaimer that all my recipes are a dump in the bowl and mix. Corn flour goes in, we've got light soy, some salt and white pepper, Chinese 5-spice, sesame oil, we've got some ginger and some fresh garlic and some dark soy and some chives. And that's all there is to it. Straight into the bowl it goes. And I'm going to mix it with these chopsticks and apparently in a circular motion, in one circular motion, because there's myosin, which is a protein structure that if you do it in one rotation, it actually activates that and it gets it to become stickier.
That is a great fact.
Yeah. So
were you aware of myosin?
I had no idea.
I was today years old when I learned that.
So mix, and you end up with something like this.
Yeah.
Right? So super simple. We've just dipped the rice paper in and grab a tablespoon there, dump that straight in. I mean, I've got kids, so, you know.
They could do this.
They could do this.
Yeah.
They can eat it too. You can hide your veggies in there.
Did you say I've got kids to just let us know that you might be eating 85 of those before you go back to them?
It's that fast and simple.
How did you do that expert role? That's magnificent.
There we go. See? Just while we're talking, like it's so
like
simple.
It's no big thing.
Steamer basket. I've got my paper in there, and I'll just put this one straight in and close that. Now, you want to see that again?
Yes. No,
or you want to taste test?
With the second bit.
Option B. How long do you cook them for?
About 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
So depending on sort of what protein you've got in there.
Agonising wait for
But, you know, here's what I've prepared earlier.
You need not wait.
You don't need to wait. And we've got a nice dipping sauce, which is a mixture of soy, black vinegar, some chili. I didn't make it too spicy, just in case, but I am going to get one each for you. One there.
Just so good.
And one there, but just, you know, be careful.
How do you tackle these, Mon, aesthetically?
There you go.
I think it's sort of every
and
night.
I'll hold the new dip.
No.
Oh, no, the reverse.
No, it's no trouble.
Oh, it's no trouble at all.
It's together.
Are you going to go in these? Oh, very, very hot.
How are we going to do that?
And
here we go. Here we go.
And we'll be back after the news.
No. Not the news.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Delicious.
Happy?
It's hot. It's hot.
It's so nice. Huda, that is absolutely delicious. Now I can't breathe either.
I'm sorry. They are best enjoyed hot.
That is so yum. Thank you, Huda, and we're going to put the full recipe over on the website for more great ideas. You can follow Huda on Instagram at Huda Hanaway. Are you all right? Come back. No, I'm going through the same thing. Come back. Okay.
Of course,
it was delicious. Thank you so much. We are off to the movies now, and with an action thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Weekend Sunrise movie man Jason Jabba Davis joins us now. Morning to you, Jabs. Okay, it's Hollywood heartthrob Channing Tatum like we've never seen him before.
Good morning, Mon. I reckon this one is up your alley and Sal's alley too. Matt might want to sit this one out. A whole bunch of female rage in Blink Twice in cinemas this week, directed by Zoe Kravitz, starring her fiancé Channing Tatum. We all know Magic Mike will get set to meet menacing mental monster Mike. Channing Tatum, in one of the best performances of his career, sinks his teeth into the role of Slater King, a microdosing vaping tech billionaire fresh off the back of public apologies for abusing his power, back in the spotlight at his annual gala dinner. It's here that Frida, played by Naomi Ackie, best known for portraying Whitney Houston, and her best mate Jess, played by Ali Shawkat from Arrested Development, they're invited to tag along with Slater's crew and all-star cast to his remote exotic island where you know things maybe aren't as idyllic as they seem.
Okay, here we go. Jess, Frida, this is my childhood buddy, Cody. Hey, cheers, ladies.
Cheers. Cheers.
This is Vic, my left and right hand man.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, what's up, man? Heather, Camilla.
How you doing, mommy?
That's Stan, my security. Tom.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hey.
Where's Lucas at? Lucas is our resident wonder boy here. He's probably gonna run the world one day.
Nice to meet you guys.
Hey, later. What's up, man? I don't know who that is. This is Frida. Sarah Frida.
Hi. Oh, hi. Thank you.
When they reach the island, Jess goes missing and Frida's sanity unravels. If you dig horror thrillers like Midsummer, The Menu, Get Out and Don't Worry Darling, this one's for you. A brutal, bloody, banging thriller, 5 stars, an incredible directorial debut for Zoe Kravitz.
Wow.
People walked out of my screening, people left when a very, very violent turn took place. So be warned, this is Quentin Tarantino levels of intensity. Don't go in there thinking it's just Channing Tatum, 21 Jump Street. It is
never
intense.
going to see that.
5 stars.
Loved it.
5 stars,
Jabs
but not
often
with the violent
doesn't
bit.
dole out 5 stars.
How long
I'll see
into
it
it
again
is
in
the
a
violent
heartbeat.
bit?
3/4 of the way through, it
Okay,
just
all right.
goes.
Get along and watch
whoa.
3/4 if you're so inclined.
La 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 through that bit. Thank you, Jabs.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
You're watching Weekend Sunrise, our top stories this morning.
At 9 a.m. on Weekend Sunrise, every 000 call from today live streamed in New South Wales. The biggest shake-up to emergency calls in decades.
3 states on alert. Wild storms, damaging winds and large hail to lash the east coast, the areas in the firing line.
Build it and they will come. Plans to get mega acts to Brisbane, the inner city stadium backed by one big promoter.
The rise of Australians untying the knot, the age gap where you're most likely to split.
Plus, Swannies cruise past the Crows, securing the minor premiership.
And here is Errol on cue. Phenomenal. He's as good as it gets.
Plus, a pet lover's paradise. We are live to the Cat Festival and the Dog Festival.
And old baby Justin and Hailey Bieber welcome a baby boy to the world. The name revealed on Weekend Sunrise this Sunday, the 25th of August, 2024.
Right across Australia, this is Weekend Sunrise. Now live from Brekkie Central, Monique and Matt.
Welcome back to Weekend Sunrise. Great to have your company. Well, a new groundbreaking and life-saving technology is being rolled out across New South Wales from today. The new live streaming video platform is set to give police instant access to unfolding emergencies. Let's cross live to Lucy McLeod, who's in Sydney. Now, Lucy, this will enable callers to speak face-to-face with 000 emergency workers.
It certainly will, Mon. Anyone who calls 000, whether you connect to an operator or not, will be sent a link, and that link will give you access to be able to live stream an incident as it's happening straight to police, which means they have access to a scene right before they even get there. Not only that, you'll be able to give your exact GPS location, and if it's too dangerous to speak on the phone, you will have access to live chat, so messaging a police officer directly instead, and that's available in 150 different languages. Now, it isn't an app. You don't need to download anything. It all happens automatically, as I said, as soon as you make that call. But with 1,500 calls to New South Wales Police every day, it certainly is a game changer for first responders, Mon.
Certainly sounds like it. Thanks, Lucy McLeod, for us there in Sydney.
Well, 3 eastern states are set to return to pretty dangerous winter weather today, with thunderstorms and also damaging winds forecast right across the southeast coast. We cross live now to Hope Wilson in Melbourne. Hope, which areas at this point look to be the hardest hit?
Good morning, Matt. Well, that main area of concern is central parts of Victoria. So everywhere from here in Melbourne up to the Southern Riverina, we could expect to see destructive winds. So trees could come down and power poles could also be impacted. And as part of these thunderstorms, we could also see some really large hailstones. So there are some major concerns for that area. But these thunderstorms are expected to be widespread right across Victoria, western parts of New South Wales and southeastern parts of South Australia. This is all being caused by a cold front and trough that is moving through, and we could see the first of this in the coming hours. So the first area we're expecting to be hit will be Adelaide. Then it'll start moving east into that firing area, that fire zone that we're expecting, Melbourne and Victoria. That will be later this afternoon into this evening. That is really that area of concern before it continues to move east overnight and into tomorrow. So the advice is to stay indoors and stay off the roads when this does hit, because it can be some incredibly dangerous conditions out there, and definitely stay up to date with those warnings. Matt?
Yeah, busy period ahead for emergency services. Thanks, Hope.
Let's get some more news now. Here's Sally.
In breaking news out of Melbourne, one person has died after a fatal crash in the city's west overnight. Reports came to emergency services just before 12 of a car crashing into a fence on Alfred Road. The sole occupant was found dead at the scene by police. The person is yet to be formally identified. And police in Sydney are investigating a car crash which crashed into a house and multiple parked cars on the North Shore this morning. The four-wheel drive struck 4 other cars, including 2 Audis, before it came to a stop and hit a home. The 68-year-old Sydney driver returned a positive breath test at the scene and was taken to hospital for further testing. None of the residents were injured in the crash. The Country Liberal Party has claimed a historic win in the Northern Territory election. New leader Leah Fiancaro is the first of the coalition equivalent to oust a Labor government since 2018. The 39-year-old will become the next Chief Minister-elect of the Northern Territory and replace Labor Chief Minister Eva Lawler. Mr Fiancaro led her campaign on the issues of improving crime rates and a lagging economy. Hundreds of residents in the New South Wales Hunter Valley have felt a powerful earthquake aftershock barely a day after a 4.5 magnitude quake hit the region. The relatively shallow quake was 10 kilometres below the Earth's surface and felt from the Central Coast to as far south as Manly. Friday's earthquake caused blackouts, leaving 2,500 people without water. Muswellbrook Shire Council says power and water supplies are returning to normal. A WA man who spent 4 days missing in the remote Kimberley outback is back home safe this morning. Nigel Buck was found alive yesterday morning after walking up to 30 kilometres across rugged country in sweltering temperatures. It's a huge relief for local police in the area. The Yongora man was injured. They discovered him suffering from dehydration and hunger. He is now looking forward to reuniting with his family. NASA's announced this morning 2 American astronauts will have to wait another 6 months to come home after being left stranded on the International Space Station. Let's cross to US correspondent Miley Hogan. Hello to you, Miley. Now, their mission was meant to last just 8 days.
Oh, Sally, those 8 days have now been extended to about 8 months. These astronauts were on the test flight taking that Boeing Starliner up to the International Space Station. But on the way, that vehicle suffered setbacks with its thrusters and its propulsion system. And engineers for Boeing had been working on the problem. They'd argued they now understood it, that they'd fixed it and that it was safe to bring those astronauts home. But NASA has stepped in and said, no, it is just too risky. Their astronauts will not be getting back on that capsule.
Space flight is risky, even at its safest and even at its most routine. And a test flight by nature is neither safe nor routine. And so the decision to keep Butch and Sonny aboard the International Space Station and bring the Boeing Starliner home uncrewed is a result of a commitment to safety. Our core value is safety, and it is our North Star.
In a major blow to Boeing, SpaceX will now give them a ride home. SpaceX is sending another capsule up next month, but it will be up at the International Space Station for a while. It won't bring back those stranded astronauts until February next year. Boeing and NASA will still work together to bring that Starliner back down to Earth uncrewed, and that will be a big test for Boeing to prove that its capsule is safe. Sal.
All right, thank you very much, Marley Hogan there. Authorities have opened a manslaughter investigation into the sinking of a British super yacht off the coast of Italy. The black box from billionaire Mike Lynch's doomed yacht revealed the final terrifying moments of the trip that claimed the lives of Mr. Lynch, his daughter and 5 others. The public prosecutor is investigating crimes of neglect and manslaughter with the possibility homicide charges will be laid. An emerging Aussie sprint sensation will be put to the test on the world stage next week. 16-year-old Brisbane sprinter Gout is being touted as the next Usain Bolt after blitzing his peers to run the 100 metres in 10.29 seconds. Look at this. Look at the end of this race. It's extraordinary stuff. A very long lead at the Queensland Athletics Championships in March have gone viral online. He is part of the Australian team that's going to compete in the Under-20s Championships in Peru, which start on Tuesday. So all eyes will be on him. But you'd have to say it's looking like a strong start.
It's easy to keep your eye on him because he's so far ahead of everybody else.
I know. Extraordinary stuff. All right, here's Matt with sport. He was also a good runner once.
He's so quick, Gout. He almost ran into the stands there. He couldn't pull up. One to watch. He's incredible. Thanks, Sal. Well, the Sydney Swans finally sealed the AFL's minor premiership after downing the Crows at the G. Errol Goulden starred as usual as Sydney cruised home by 31 points. The Lions just held on to beat Essendon 87-67, and a really emotional Dustin Martin farewelled at the MCG, and the Tigers lost to the Suns. Geelong, well, they thrashed West Coast by 93 points, and the Hawks, very much in form, they demolished North Melbourne by 124 points. Well, the Storm sealed top spot on the NRL ladder for 2024 with a contention for top spot after they lost to Canberra 22-18. And the Knights' finals hopes. I want to go back to JT now and a check of today's weather. JT, before we go any further, Pelican update. We saw an unbelievable rescue earlier. Any news?
He's doing well, and I'll reveal the name in the next cross. That's a little hook. We're getting the hook out of the Pelican's leg, actually. So we're in Long Jetty at the moment. This is like cafe culture. Just down the road is that beautiful beach culture. But you forget that only minutes inland, you've got incredible countryside. Take a look at this. Glenworth Valley, less than an hour from Sydney and 1,000,000 miles away. Ash, it's so beautiful as you descend down into Glenworth Valley. It feels like there's 1,000,000 activities to do down here.
We have so many activities. We have horse riding, obviously, and then there is laser skirmish, quad biking, abseiling, axe throwing, and we have kayaking as well.
Forget man from Snowy River, this is man from Glenworth Valley. Eva, it's so beautiful.
Absolutely, it's so peaceful.
Oh, it's so beautiful at Glenworth Valley, and as the weather starts to warm up, you just want to get outside and do stuff. And there is so much happening in Sydney in September and October. So Sydney Marathon is just around the corner. Maybe a bit late to start your training, but if everyone has been training, then that's going to be a lot of fun. Sydney Fringe Festival, if you want something a bit arty. The Wallabies and the All Blacks in the Bledisloe, that's coming up. Tough Mudder is on in Sydney, 12th and 13th of October. South by Southwest Sydney's on as well. And if you want to get outside of Sydney, the Denny Ute Muster. It is a fantastic event in Nelaquin. Let's have a look at your weather forecast. So the capitals look like this. Brisbane in for a sunny day today and a top of 29. Sydney, some showers about, tops of 25. Showers increasing in Canberra, 21. Melbourne, showers and a possible storm, 23. Hobart, showers increasing and 18. Showers and a windy day forecast for Adelaide, 20. Perth, cloudy and 21. Sunny for Broome, 36. Darwin, sunny and 35. And mostly sunny at Alice Springs with a top of 35. Do not adjust your sets. I've been Webstered. This is Webster's Vintage. This is Matt Webster.
G'day.
Mate, my jacket is pretty special. Your jacket is amazing.
Yep, had a few years.
So, what is a vintage store? What do you got
We
inside?
sell second-hand goods. We try to lean towards the vintage clothing, articles. Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun.
Have a look at this. Have a look at this. From the 1980s. That is a legitimate boombox.
It's the ghetto blaster of all ghetto blasters.
Talk me through it.
Well, you've got the graphic equaliser on it. It's 1980s. Probably would have retailed for $600-700 back then. Absolute beautiful piece.
Tell them the price, son. The price, son.
$450.
$450.
$450.
Tell them Matt sent you. We're at Long Jetty, Webster's Vintage. Gee, that is. Can I just try one thing? I'm going to throw it back to you guys. Yes.
For anyone
Now
who's
you're
seen
talking.
the movie Say Anything, you look just like John Cusack.
Yes, exactly. Is that a felt hat?
It's so good. You could wear that in a sauna. Remember,
in a Finnish
Angela
sauna.
told us earlier that there is now a felt hat you can wear in a sauna. Or you could be Robin Hood. Thank you, JT.
So good.
Well, it's time to look
Mate,
at our week in politics now. Let's bring in 7 News political editor Mark Riley. Morning to you, Riles.
Good morning, guys.
So there is a new Chief Minister in the Northern Territory. Labor is out. What does this mean federally?
Well, it's an interesting result because it's the first mainland constituency that's gone against Labor since Anthony Albanese was elected Prime Minister. It tends to happen. People try to have a bet each way. In the states, they vote one way and federally another way. But Leah Finocchiaro there in the Liberal Country Liberal Party up there in the NT has big challenges ahead of her. This was basically a crime and security election. Eva Lawler from Labor was up against it. Of course, you had the Natasha Files, her predecessor, had to resign with that share scandal. That didn't help. But post The Voice in a security environment now in politics, it's an interesting result, and it shows that people are willing to change their vote. Remember, Labor came in a landslide there in the NT. About 8 years ago? They've now gone out in a landslide. It shows the volatility of the electorate, I think.
It certainly does. Ros, there's renewed pressure really on the Albanese government. This is in relation to our military aid in support of Ukraine's fight against Russia. Australia, I think, has already sent in the order of $1.3 billion to support the cause. More needs to be done?
Look, always more can be done, and Australia's committed to doing more. I think at the moment there's pressure on the government to donate the Abrams tanks, which are now going out of commission over the next year. There's 59 of those. There's a Major Andrei Berezovsky from the Ukrainian army here on a kind of fundraising mission at the moment, asking the government to do that. It's a really complicated thing, though, Matt, and even though it sounds like something that logically should happen, the contracts with these big tanks are very complicated, and they essentially mean that the tanks would have to be sent back to America to be sent to the Ukraine, because there are clauses involved in these contracts that really dictate against the transfer of heavy weapons, and it has to be a very controlled supply. So it's incredibly complicated. I think the government wants to do more. Of course, the Bushmasters are there, and interestingly, we saw a Bushmaster destroyed in Russia as part of that Kursk offensive, which is really interesting. It means that Australian tanks are being used, Australian ground vehicles are being used in that incursion into Russian soil. That changes things for us.
Yes, indeed it does. I just want to ask you about these aged care reforms that are set to come in. So vulnerable seniors will now be paying more for their own care, up to a 2% levy on accommodation bonds. My understanding of this is that these are people that are not on a pension, so therefore we presume it's just leaving less inheritance while they're paying for their own care. Is that right?
Yeah, that's certainly part of it. So what happens is, that you deposit a refundable accommodation bond going into aged care. It's normally around $470,000 to $500,000, depending on the facility. It can be higher than that. And what the recommendation is, and it has been agreed, there's a heads of agreement on this between the government and the opposition. The only thing in the way at the moment is politics. Ain't that always the story? But I think it'll happen over the next few weeks. So what they're recommending now is that they put a 2% levy on those bonds for 5 years. So that's $10,000 a year on a $500,000 bond. That means the inheritance that would come back once the person leaves the facility would be reduced by about $50,000, and that goes towards funding care. And also they're talking about lifting the cap on that so that the providers can ask for a larger bond. And of course that bond allows them then to invest that in the markets and to make some capital to run the facility. So they're really getting it both ways. They're getting the principal to invest, but also a levy on the principal to keep and spend, which should help to sustain the aged care industry. It sounds like a lot, but something has to happen.
Yeah.
There's more of us moving in there. Boomers are getting older and we're all moving that way. And if not into aged care facilities, then care at home, which is also expensive, and there will be fees on that as well. Everyone will pay a bit for their home care, including pensioners. It won't be a lot, but you will contribute something to sustain that sector.
Something to look forward to. Thank you very much, Riles.
Some of us sooner than others, Matt.
Thanks,
Not
Riles.
far behind you. Thank you, Riles.
Good on you. See you guys.
See you, mate. Ahead for you on Weekend Sunrise, love on the rocks, why divorce is on the rise in one particular age group in Australia.
And a pet lover's paradise. We are live to the Cat and Dog Festival side by side in Sydney. What rivalry? More after the break.
Lovely to have your company. Often we get asked what happens in the ad break at Weekend Sunrise. A little bit earlier this morning. First of all, I want to introduce you to Jules. Can we get a shot of Jules? She runs script. She's a PA here in the studio. She does all sorts of things. There she is.
Oh, look, appearing reluctant, but really about to enjoy this
She's a
newfound fame.
superstar. So she just happened to have been walking past one of the screens as we started playing Justin Bieber song.
And we decided to teach her some
and look
moves.
what happened. Look at how good she is.
This is so bad. I'm just getting into it.
Look at how good she is at it, though.
That is some serious skill right there, isn't it?
I mean, and she knows all the words too.
Of course. Love the beats. Oh my God.
Look at this. This is my favourite bit. This is my favourite.
Queen Jay.
Oh my God. What is happening?
She's our superstar. Jules, we love you.
Love you.
We love you even before we knew that you were such a good dancer. Imagine being that cool.
What it must be like to have rhythm.
And style.
And
She
cool.
can just rock out
just
there
born
and do
with
it. Then she just wanders off.
Like it was
Jules,
no
you're
big
the
thing.
best. Okay.
Anyway, Sally's here. Sally's cool.
She's cool. She's got some more Bieber news for us.
I feel like I'm a real afterthought after that. In very exciting baby news, a baby Bieber has been born. Justin and Hailey Bieber announced the birth of their first child, Jack Blues Bieber. The musician and model entrepreneur wife made the exciting announcement on social media, sharing a picture of his little baby foot. Can we see that little picture again? The baby's name appeared to be a nod to Bieber's father, Jeremy. Oh, there it is, Jeremy Jack Bieber, he has grown close to over the last couple of years, Biebs. A big congratulations to their baby. Well, a dog may be a man's best friend, but it's not the case for Lily Allen. The English singer has confessed that she returned her rescue dog to the shelter after it ate her family's passport. She shared the incident on a recent episode of her podcast, Miss Me, saying her pup ruined her life. Allen and her now husband, David Harbour, adopted the pup from a New York shelter back in 2021 during COVID, and she claims it's been a logistical nightmare. There's been a lot of blowback to her revealing this on the podcast on the internet. The internet's got a few words to say about, her attitude towards shelter dogs. So there you go. And sorry that my slippers just made it on air with all that dancing. I thought maybe I was going to be asked to dance too, so I put on some comfy footwear. No, we don't need to see them again. I'll show them later. All right, we're back in just a tick. Stay with us. Please stay with us. Leading the news at 9:30, we have some breaking news out of Melbourne. One person has died after a fatal crash in the city's west overnight. Reports came to emergency services at 11:30 p.m. of a car crashing into a fence on Alfred Road. The sole occupant was found dead at the scene by police. The person is yet to be formally identified. In more breaking news, a fatal crash on the Gold Coast hinterland has left one man dead and 4 others injured. It's believed a Mitsubishi was travelling along Bunnigan Road at 12:45 when it came off the road and rolled onto its roof. 5 men, all aged in their 20s, were in the vehicle at the time. The 20-year-old driver from Mudgeeraba died at the scene. All 4 passengers were taken to Gold Coast University Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The Country Liberal Party has claimed a historic win in the Northern Territory election. New leader Leah Fincaro is the first of the coalition equivalent to oust a Labor government since 2018.
Tonight's result is a victory for hope and opportunity for every single Territorian.
The 39-year-old will become the Chief Minister-elect of the Northern Territory and replace Labor Chief Minister Eva Lawler. Australian Border Force officers say now 85% of those in immigration detention have criminal records, dozens of which have had visas cancelled for sex crimes and domestic offences. Authorities believe criminals with connections to bikie and mafia gangs are running operations from behind bars because they can access computers and phones. Currently, Border Force has a limited capacity to search for illicit substances and is working with the government to expand powers. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams won't return home from the International Space Station until February next year. After almost 3 months, the space agency announced this morning it would be too risky to bring back the pair on the Boeing capsule they arrived in. Instead, they have to wait another 6 months to catch a ride home on a SpaceX aircraft. Controversial ex-leader of the CFMEU, John Setka, has sensationally revealed damning admissions in his first interview with Channel 7 Spotlight since leaving the embattled union.
There are people that want you dead.
Probably.
So there are bikies in the CFMEU.
Well, I'd assume there is.
You can watch the whole explosive interview. It airs tonight on Channel 7 and 7+. And just to recap, some very exciting news this morning. Our new baby Bieber has been born. Justin and Hailey Bieber have announced the birth of their first child, Jack Blues Bieber. The musician and his model entrepreneur wife made the exciting announcement on social media, sharing a picture of his little teeny tiny foot. His name appears to be a bit of a nod as well to his father, Jeremy, who Biebs has grown close to over the last couple of years. A huge congrats to them. I won't sing it again. I'll just go to Nat with sport.
Thanks, Sal. The Swans have finally been crowned AFL minor premiers after cruising past the Adelaide Crows, 121-90 at the G. The Lions held on to beat Essendon 87-67, and a really emotional Dusty Martin farewelled fans at the G, and the Tigers lost to the Suns. Geelong, they're just doing it quietly. They thrashed West Coast by 93 points. And the Hawks, they are the Smokies this year. They demolished North Melbourne by 124 points. The Storm have sealed top spot on the NRL ladder for 2024. Contention for top spot after they lost to Canberra 22-18. And the Knights finals, Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham have bounced back to seal their first win of the new Premier League season. They thrashed a pretty woeful, it must be said, Everton, should say 4-1. Arsenal, 2 wins from 2 after beating Aston Villa 2-0. And Brighton struck in the 95th minute for a bit of drama to take down Man United 2-1. Let's go back to JT now and a check of today's weather. And I think he has some Pelican news.
I do, Matt. Yeah, some pelican news. If you've just turned on Weekend Sunrise, there's been more than just this pelican on air this morning. We had a pelican rescue live on air this morning. We were with a fantastic marine rescue organisation who rescued a pelican with a lure stuck in its foot. The update, he went to Tuggerah, went to the vet. The vet successfully took the lure out of his foot, and he's going back to Pelican Plaza now to be released. The vet said exercising, moving his foot around the water is going to make a full recovery. No stitches needed. He doesn't need to go to the aviary. He's going straight back to the wild. And they've named him, I'm a bit chuffed about this, JT. JT the pelican. There's 2 pelicans named JT. Let's go to your forecast. So the capitals look like this. Brisbane in for a sunny day today and a top of 29. Sydney, some showers about, tops of 25. Showers increasing in Canberra, 21. Melbourne, showers and a possible storm, 23. Hobart, showers increasing and 18. Showers and a windy day forecast for Adelaide, 20. Perth, cloudy and 21. Sunny for Broome, 36. Darwin, sunny and 35. And mostly sunny at Alice Springs with a top of 35. Hey, we've had the best weekend with Destination New South Wales. We were at Terrigal yesterday, the entrance and Long Jetty this morning. Here is a Long Jetty for you. So if you would like to come and experience this beautiful part of New South Wales, we've done a deal with What If. Whatif.com, you can get a 20% discount. Come and see the best the Central Coast has to offer, including Ken's Humble Pie Shop. Ken is a legend in these here parts. He's been making pies for over 50 years. If you remember Pie in the Sky at Erina, Ken was there. He's got his own place now at the entrance. This is the classic cheese and bacon beef pie.
No sauce?
Look at the chunks. Not with the cheese and bacon, not in my world.
Oh,
no, I'm not a big sauce guy.
What do you mean not a big sauce? Well, the pie looks impeccable.
Can we see that?
As does the Long Jetty.
Yeah. It's delightful.
Wow,
look at the,
that is perfection.
Look at the
all of it.
crispiness.
Yep, the Long
Breakfast.
Jetty. Sign behind
See you
me.
next
You've had a
weekend.
great morning.
Bye.
Thanks so much, JT. We've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Looks awesome there, JT. Thank you. Well, still to come on Weekend Sunrise. What do you get when you put a cat and dog festival side by side?
The perfect place to spend your Sunday. That's where we are live to them next.
Well, worlds are colliding in Sydney this weekend. Cats and dogs, feline and puppy lovers going head-to-head with the Cat and Dog Lovers Festival taking off right next door to each other, Mom.
Now, it's claws on one side, paws on the other. All sounds good to me. Here for more, Dave Graham, who's at the Dog Lovers Show, Brodie Young from the Cat Show. Welcome to you both.
Good morning.
Okay, so Dave,
what a...
back for its 9th year.
I'm in the happiest
What's
place
going
in the
on
world, just so you know.
Dogland? Okay, Dave, take it away.
In
What's happening?
Dogland, we have got... Oh, well, this is the best place. This is the best place. I know they're just across the road, but this is where it's all happening. We've got doggy parkour in the Vitapet Arena, and right here at the Kurgo Dock Dogs, we have dogs running down a 40-foot platform, 5 foot off the ground, and flying as far down the pool as possible. It is amazing, and I'm in the splash zone, so I'm a little bit nervous.
Brodie, going to be difficult for you to match that enthusiasm. Why should people head over to the Cat Lovers Festival?
Maddie, in all seriousness, it'd be a catastrophe if you didn't come along to the Cat Lovers Festival. It's the best event there is on a Sunday. It's the perfect thing to do. There are so many cats playing with each other here. This is the Whiskers Kitty Pavilion here where they can play, you can meet them. We've got over 50 different breeds, 100, in fact 200 different cats that you can come and play with. Doesn't matter if you're a dog fan, a cat fan, or maybe a pelican fan. Get along to the festival this weekend. It's the perfect thing to do.
Oh my gosh, they are adorable. What sort of a breed are those? Oh, is that Mum?
I'm not an expert, don't ask me. There's plenty of experts in the house, so we've got Dr. Carl, Dr. Katrina on the big stage, so they'll answer all your questions.
I think you've got to do both.
Look at this beautiful one, hey? Look at this beautiful
You've
one.
got to do both.
You
Dave,
have to do both. Well, 50% off. 50% off if you do both.
Dave, what's going on there? You sound like you're... There's a bit going on.
Well, I'm getting completely drenched. It is all happening here
I can
in
watch
the
that all
splash
day.
zone.
Can we have a-
You would
can we
be
have another?
absolutely crazy not to get here.
Can we cue a few more? I'm just enjoying that spectacle.
Yeah.
Gee, just when I thought Brodie had him covered.
Dogs are jumping, cats are climbing, mate. There's everything going on here, guys. So when you get out of the studio, come down to the showgrounds. That's where we'll be.
That is good, wholesome
Dave,
fun.
Is the ball being thrown and then they're chasing the ball? It's a little hard to see. Oh, that's a better shot.
Yeah, so this is big air. So it is long jump for dogs. The dog is... Whoa! Okay, so we have the biggest jumping dogs in the Southern Hemisphere here doing big air, and you can see that it's all in feet and inches, and we've got dogs that are jumping over 20 foot consistently. The 3 dogs that just jumped then, a Labrador, a Dutch Shepherd and a Malinois, all jumping down, and I reckon today they are going to break the Australian record of 27 foot 4 inches.
I'm not sure what people want from us.
You're going to break the record. I'm breaking the record for cuteness, Dave.
And the kittens. Let's go back to the kittens. I mean,
I mean, you're welcome, Australia.
Are these two not adorable? Hey, all 3 of us, if you like.
All 3 of you are adorable.
Oh, beautiful.
Aren't they perfect? Oh, thank you, Maddie.
Brodie,
Yes, the Cats had a good win yesterday, didn't they? So yeah,
they did. Brodie.
Bit of footy context.
There's often rivalry between, are you a cat person, are you a dog person? I'm both. I'm an animal person. Brodie, can you just do both? Can you do both shows?
You can do both. They're next to each other at the showgrounds. In fact, if you come to the Cat Lovers Pavilion first, you can enjoy all the breeds that we've got here, listen to all the experts, then go across to the Dog Lovers Festival. You get 50% off the ticket. You get the tickets at the door, or you can get them online. But why wouldn't you want to come and say hello to this little friend right here?
I
my
do.
goodness me.
I can't think
Why
of
don't
a
you
single
adopt
reason.
There isn't a single reason. Brodie, thank you so much.
This one's for you, Monique.
Gorgeous. Yes, thank you. No. I like the way you're thinking, Brodie. Gorgeous. Dave, before we leave, can another dog do air for us this morning?
Big air. Big air.
Big air. I reckon we can have one that will completely drench your poor cameraman here.
Yeah.
100%. This is all the way from Victoria. This is Maze, and it is a big jumping dog.
What sort of a dog is
I think
that?
there is no question. You need to get down here. It's a Belgian Malinois. They call them Malingators. Usually you see them in the military, but the biggest jumping dog here this weekend.
Leap on the
I reckon without question, they are going to break records.
I've been saying it for years.
Well, that was a Labrador, that one.
Yeah, but that was great too. Someone told me that I was going to see a Belgian Malinois do big air today. I wouldn't have believed you.
Coming up on Weekend Sunrise, a Belgian Malinois does big air.
And I get a stolen cat.
Just do both.
It doesn't get better. Thank you both. Dave, Brodie, why wouldn't you go to both of them? That was awesome.
It pains us to leave you.
Exactly right.
Alas, we must.
And the Pelican Festival coming up next year.
Yeah.
Okay. The Pelican Festival. We're back in just a tick. What more can we offer you?
I think.
Welcome back. It's time to announce our first winner of our Coles Community Club Give Back, which receives $2,000 for their club.
The inaugural winner. As part of the Coles Winter of Sport, Weekend Sunrise have partnered with our very good friends at Coles to give back to the community and support different clubs around Australia.
Let's go to Liam Tapper, who is in Western Sydney with the very lucky winner. Hello, Liam.
Yeah, g'day, Matt and Mon. We are joined by some very special, very lucky young people out here in Western Sydney. They're the latest recipients of the Coles Local Community Club giveaway. Now, $2,000 better off. Can I give you this? The All Stars Dance Gymnastics Group. Congratulations! Absolutely fantastic. Now, we're joined by Carissa. Carissa, tell us, what does this mean and what will the money go towards?
We are so grateful. All Star Gymnastics and Dance is a really fun-filled environment where we support kids through the sport of aerobic gymnastics. And as we're a pack-up, set-down venue, equipment is really expensive, uniforms are really not cheap. So this will really help providing a really comfortable, safe space where the gymnasts can thrive and grow and learn in the sport that they love, which is aerobics.
Yeah, awesome. And what are you going to buy, do you think, with the money?
We're definitely going to buy a few more mats because we do our sport on a timber floor. So any mats that would help us with safety for the girls so they can learn new skills and reach new goals would be amazing.
Yeah, awesome. And I guess, why did you enter? Because it seems like there's so much fun here. Why did you enter?
Yeah, so All Stars is a real team environment. We're all here to cater for all the way down to a recreational level right through to a senior international level where we have kids represent Australia. So we just really want to provide Western Sydney with the opportunity for kids to come and enjoy the sport of gymnastics.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so good to see the smile on your face and everyone's faces. How about we get a routine? Can we see what you guys do? Give us some action. Yeah!
Watch me dance, dance the night away. My heart could be burning, but you won't see it on my face. Watch me dance, dance the night away. I'll still keep the party running. I won't get out of place when my heart breaks. When my world shakes.
Well, there you go, guys. As you can see, so good. This money is not going to waste. It's turned to such an amazing club. Great out here in Western Sydney. Awesome.
Oh, congratulations, Liam, for everyone at Stars Gym. We love that. We love the community groups. Just wonderful. If you want this to be you and your club next week, you get to receive $2,000 cheque for your club. That's all coming from Coles.
So you need to make sure you head to the Sunrise website and tell us in 25 words or less what community club you're nominating and, importantly, why. Don't go anywhere. Weekend Sunrise, back in a moment.
Thank you for your company today. If you missed this earlier, this is one of our favourite things that has happened on Weekend Sunrise lately. Okay, there was a pelican in JT's Weathercross that was injured. It had a lure that was caught around its paw, and then Rob from Marine Wildlife Rescue gallantly leaped. It's the only way you put it, wouldn't you?
Which is the technique they use to capture. This is what they
you're
do.
familiar with that technique, are you?
JT texted me all the background on it, but it's
they're all volunteers.
Jump into your
Amazing
Sunday like Rob jumps into that rescue.
Yeah,
what a good idea.
Suggest.
Someone
Pelicans
like Rob
in the bed,
has helped that
everyone.
pelican.
Currently doing well.
Oh, that's what I